Yeah, good morning. It is, let me look at the time, 8:30. We're here for the Public Works update. No, it's not the Public Works. We are here. I just see Public Works sitting there. I believe it's Commissioner's work
That
session.
consent agenda review.
Okay. Sorry, Kevin. Let me get my agenda right up here.
It's all good. It's Tuesday.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't realize I had a ribbon cutting today. So I'm going to go to the ribbon cutting at the park here and then I will head in.
Okay, no worries.
I guess commissioners with Renew being at 11 o'clock, they have a special presentation for their strategic plan. If Cindy won't be here and Rob won't be here, do we need to cancel that?
Yeah, I guess I didn't know Rob wasn't going to be there. So I will be out probably. I'm assuming it's going to take 10 to 15 minutes for this event. So
Can we just have them reschedule?
I can contact Dell.
Okay. Thank you.
thank you, Barb.
I had a question for the commissioners also. Yesterday, you guys had said one of the topics for the elected official department head luncheon would be an introduction from Blair. And he had said that, I guess, May 5th is the Behind the Badge event. So he won't be here and the sheriff's office won't be here. And he had said that the commissioners had talked about maybe rescheduling the luncheon, just pushing it back a week. Was that something that you guys were wanting to do?
Yes, we did have discussion about doing that or changing the date. Kevin, are you in favor of doing that?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay.
So let's do the following Monday if that works in our schedule.
Yes, yeah, that'll work. So it'll be May 12th now. Thank you.
Thanks for reminding us. I didn't see anything on the consent agenda that I was concerned with.
No, I reviewed it yesterday and it wasn't.
Walk-ons or anything, do we? No. Oh yeah, I didn't see anything that I was too worried about.
And Kevin, I did get an email. I checked. Caitlin wanted to do the Professional Development Academy, and then I did send that to Tom Gaines so that he can get her on the list. And I checked with the other office staff, and we do have a few more that are interested in doing that. So we can wait until Rob gets back and look at the names and then submit those for the PDA.
Okay.
But I just want to make sure that they realize it. I thought, I could probably squeeze through, 30 minutes or whatever, but it is a solid hour, Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
Bit of a commitment.
And then Cindy, I got a response from Rochelle about that Grant County introduction video. She said that right now, tourism does not have anything like that. That's what they're hoping to get from the Vortex video production company. She said the video library is very limited to old commercial type videos, but she can send the library if you want to pick through those.
Okay, I think when we did it before for Kamaki City, the port actually paid for a little videographer to come out and just do a little introduction and then threw a slide together. But I don't know if they, and I did reach out to the port to see if they had anything that would work. Because we may just have to, like you said, grab a picture or two for this.
Okay.
And then, Caitlin, did we actually get a formal letter from Kamaki City about the exchange? They said they sent us a formal letter for the exchange students that are coming next week.
I have not seen anything, but Barb might have.
Okay.
Barb, if you're there, you know.
Saw an email from the port, but
And if they did try to email it, my emails were kicking it out. I mean, I couldn't receive the emails. So our firewalls were blocking it pretty darn good. So I didn't get anything. Well, if that's all I have for this meeting, if there's something else we need to add, Public Works, do you have anything to add?
Nope.
Okay.
yeah, I don't have it. I think we're good.
All right. Well, it is 8:30. I can't look at my clock. 8:36. We are in recess until, let me scroll down here.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, and we meet with Public Works. Good morning. Hopefully we are on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. It is 9 o'clock. We are here with Public Works. We have Andy and John to give us an overview of the agenda. Welcome.
Good morning. I'd like to start with our accomplishment updates from John. Okay, so last week in Public Works, start with solid waste. They disposed of close to 2,600 net tons last week. They sprayed approximately 24,000 gallons of leachate on the active face. On the roads, road grading, all areas around the county are actively being graded. Some gravel replacement in the District 3 area. Crack filling continues in District 1 and 3. I believe 2 is either finished or about to finish their crack filling. Call outs, Sunday we had an accident on Beverly Burke Road at about Road 2 Southwest. As a DUI rollover, 2 occupants, both were ejected. One was a fatal. We've got some minor and major ditching in District 1 area and bridge crew doing some guardrail repair. The bridge that was hit on Stratford right around 16 Northeast a few weeks back, a girl kind of played pinball off the rails. They're going to be working on that here probably this week, but they were getting working on it a little bit last week as well. Street sweeping, I think everybody is done, but the District 3 area, they're still working in the George and Quincy areas. We have a mower running up in Heartline. Bridges also had been working on monuments in our seal code areas. Every year they go into each seal code area and they take the monuments that have been over the years being seal coated around, and so they're getting lower as the roads are getting higher, and they bring those back up to flush and concrete them in and that type of thing. Make sure any repairs that are needed are taken care of, or replace lids or what have you. And then they also did a routine inspection of the Ephrata culvert. Should have been, I guess, reimbursable for the city of Ephrata. Yeah. I believe that's the one just up here, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. Where all the water comes off the hill, right, goes under. So that is Public Works accomplishments for last week. Any questions on that?
No, I noticed there was this landfill was closed one day.
High winds.
Is that what happens?
Yeah.
When it gets too windy, you just shut it down so the public can't come in?
Yep. Yeah, it gets pretty dangerous. So, and we actually, there's some restrictions on the commercial haulers as well, but they do a good job of, there's sometimes they get those shiny deals from orchards. Well, please don't bring stuff like that in on those days. And they do a good job of not doing that.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think our cutoff is 25 miles an hour sustained. So,
Makes sense.
West Shore Drive construction, they started pouring curbing yesterday. I don't know if it reached you or not, but we had a plumbing company out there that called, and they have their business, and they were down to one approach. Well, we had Tyler look into it, and it is one that they missed. They actually will get two approaches, so we got that figured out.
Okay.
That's about it for that. One item that came up yesterday that isn't on our list is the litter crew. We actually hired one yesterday, and the other one, she can't start until the 5th. So we're gonna use either a public works employee or somebody else at solid waste, and for next week and possibly the tail end of this week. He's got to do a little work on the pickup he's gonna be driving, and so anyway, that will for sure be running next week.
When's your new hire start?
Brianna is on the 5th, the second one. And the first one was able to start right away, so.
Gotcha.
Which is good. They're gonna put side racks on we had an older pickup with an 8-foot bed. And they're gonna put side racks and a tarp and things like that on it. So he's gonna be working on that for a few days, and then we'll get him going. Our consent item, it came in at 1.3 million. Our engineer estimate was 1.5, so that was good. That's all I have. Is there any questions?
No, I don't have any other questions.
Do you, Cindy?
Yes, the only question I would have is I got a call last night from an applicant here in Royal City. He's trying to do I think it's a short plat is actually what it is. He wasn't sure what the name of it was or what he was doing along Highway 26 and I Road, kind of by Judy's Deli. He's trying to sag off a little portion there. And he's trying to get a hold of WashDOT because they are asking for kind of like an 80-foot buffer, a 60-foot buffer, or something within that area. And he's not quite sure. And his engineer, they just want to clarify what exactly WashDOT is looking for. Do you mind sending me a contact? Because they have driven up to WashDOT. They've called WashDOT. They've been working on this for a couple of years. They even had like an email from last year that they were trying to get a hold of WashDOT, and they just have never heard back. They just want clarification.
Yeah, I wonder if Zach or Tyler would have a contact at WashDOT that might.
Tyler probably will.
Yeah. We'll send you Tyler Brady's information. Maybe he can.
Okay. Thank you. And I'll forward it to him because I'm like, I'm really not sure. We do not do a whole lot. I mean, WashDOT is their own beast. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll get it forwarded to him.
Okay.
The only other thing I had was from last week was the Tomer Construction letter you guys had received, and Public Works has no input on the signage, the name change of their road. So there's no issues for us either way.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Well, it looks like it's 9:07 and we are in recess until 9:30 when we meet with the sheriff's office.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, good morning. It is 9:30. The commissioners are here for the sheriff's update. It appears, I can't see if somebody's online. Do we have our sheriff online?
No.
I don't think anybody's online or in the room yet.
Barb is calling over right now to find out who is supposed to be here.
Okay. We will just hold tight then. Thank you.
Mute for now.
Huh?
Mute for now.
Yeah.
Phil Coates is on his way to the meeting.
More snacks? Come on, guys.
Group of us, now 9:30, and we're here with Phil Coates and
Bo Lehman.
Bo Lamons.
Layman's.
Well, welcome, gentlemen. Okay, we can get started.
Well, thank you for having us, and we apologize for our tardiness today.
It's all good.
And quite honestly, as embarrassed as I am, I did not come prepared for this meeting at all.
Okay.
We've had a few search warrants conducted over the last several days with the partnerships of some of our federal partners. Jail's going good. I'm starting to work with Blair on a request for a proposal on medical services.
Okay.
I reached out to our WASPIC partners and some of our subject matter experts when it comes to correctional medicine. I'm following a template that was just published from multiple doctors and universities throughout the nation to try to make it as simple as they possibly can, because the amount of expertise that you have to have specifically for correctional medicine is outside of this guy's realm. But I'm trying to work with Blair again, trying to get that thing dialed in, but it's 156 pages long and I'm trying to understand it as we go. So started to put together the request for the opiate settlement. I think it's due at the beginning of next month to be able to hopefully get some of the funding from that, outfit some of our patrol deputies and corrections deputies with Narcan pouches, appropriate PPE. I'm looking into potentially bringing in a recovery coach full-time into the jail to be able to help us identify the ones that are experiencing the homelessness and some kind of opiate disorder, to be able to stay a little bit more engaged with them throughout their incarceration time, and then kind of get them linked up to Oxford housing or whatever it is that give them that warm handoff for it. So looking forward to the committee looking at those proposals. What do you got, Bo?
So an interesting investigation kind of started yesterday. I don't know if maybe your office has received some calls, but the Department of Ecology was out on Road 9 along with the WSP bomb squad.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so Kyle's been keeping the public pretty informed on it. I know sometimes that prompts deeper phone calls maybe to the commissioner's office every now and then. Maybe they're few and far between. So it's kind of come to our attention that there's, I guess, kind of a closet fireworks maker who also likes to sell narcotics on the side as well. So this investigation's kind of spawning into bigger and deeper things. And during the search, they discovered a hand grenade, which, not being able to discern whether it's a inert or fake or a novelty item, the bomb squad came up and made it safe. They also discovered it's an acronym. I can't pronounce the full terminology of it, but it's a DMT lab, which this guy, I guess, has knowledge in synthesizing psychedelic drugs. So he's able to mix chemicals and go through a process and make his own psychedelic drug. And this all came from a tip from his wife, was the victim of a domestic violence the night before. So anyway, so this is domestic violence spawns into a narcotics case, which spawns into a health risk lab, which spawns into an explosives investigation. So we had the Department of Ecology is actually processing the lab portion of it now, to make it safe for the rest of our team to,
So is this 9 Northwest?
yeah, about the 15,000 block there. So they had the road shut down for a good part of the evening yesterday, which was probably a good place to have this occur if we were going to pick a place. It's pretty remote.
Right.
So it didn't impact traffic or commerce at all that I'm aware of or that we've received any complaints on. But the road is back open. Department of Ecology is still working through all the chemicals to get all that stuff out of the house. So it's an ongoing thing. Our social media page is the best source for information. If your office does get phone calls from concerned citizens, and just redirect them back there.
Okay. Got one down in Cascade Valley too, Wild Goose.
Oh yeah, yep,
That's it.
yeah,
That's
that,
been a sore house for years.
yeah. Hopefully, it's not going to continue to be. Hopefully, crossing our fingers. So we'll see. I guess time will tell.
Yeah.
I don't think
Guess
any of
there's
us
another
are holding our breath.
Another one at the end of Dick Road, end of Otmar and Dick.
Yeah,
Apparently, guy passed away and they got transients have moved in or decided it's their house now.
yeah. It's unfortunate. So there's that one. Yeah, as Chief Coach said, some federal partners have concluded their investigations and are executing search warrants, and U.S. attorneys are getting indictments over some of the federal crimes being committed in our county, which was 2 done yesterday. One on Wild Goose, one on Adrian Road, I believe, or Adrian Avenue in Lakeview.
Oh,
Simultaneously did those. There was one this morning on Road U, and I don't anticipate that they have any other planned for the rest of the week.
you southeast out Warden area?
Yeah, between Warden and I-90, the old Marla Duplashane homestead out there.
Oh,
I don't know if you're aware of that, but
yeah.
the Duplashane names probably
I
resonates. As far as staffing goes, still trying to fill the gaps a little bit with the retirement of Under Sheriff McMillan. Under Sheriff Mansford moves up. Former Lieutenant Char is now Chief Char, and there's testing for Lieutenant and Sergeant. So, and then I'm sure there'll probably be some more trickle down stuff, but that's the latest right now.
Anything you need from us?
I don't think so. Not that I can think of.
No?
Just to finish the jail.
Yeah, well, you don't want to get in too big of a hurry, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still working on the transition on it. We have the video court monitor installed. We're still working with TS to try to get that up and going. Trying to get anything that's going to be our new practices kind of in our mindset now. So that's one less thing that we have to learn once we move up to the jail. Next week, we're going to have heart monitors installed into the holding cells. So where if we have an individual temporarily housed in the holding, it'll pick up their respiratory rate and their heart rate. That way we get some kind of early warning signs if they start going downhill through withdrawals or whatever. So that's pretty exciting for us. Just more technology coming in and trying to use it to benefit us.
And they'll have that at the new jail, I assume, too.
Yes, yeah, everything's going to be equipped in the intake area and in the infirmary. So right now, because they're $2,000 a piece, so we're going to get them in each of our holding cells, and then we have them equipped. It's already been set up for it, where the power and the boxes are going to go in these prefab cells in the infirmary and in the intake area.
That'll be helpful.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, are you guys gonna have to add another nurse up at the new jail, probably?
So that's kind of what the intent is behind doing the RFP for medical services. Medical services are getting very, very, very spendy for agencies. I think I was looking at King County's medical budget, just for medical, they spend over $10 million a year. Benton County, I think they're anywhere between $3 and $5 million a year just on medical. I can give you a breakdown of what our line items are for medical if you'd like in our existing budget, but they're nowhere near to that comparison. We have, and I know I've said this a million times in this room, we have the sickest population in the entire county. I mean, even on top of Samaritan and Quincy, I mean, we have the sickest population. We need more nursing staff. We need round-the-clock nursing staff on top of mental health crisis. And, I know we're all working towards it, but especially when we get into that jail and the size of that infirmary, holy cow, that'll be completely overwhelming for 2 full-time nurses.
We got about a year to figure that out.
Yep. I'm hoping, working with Blair's taking a look at the toolkit that we got off from Dr. Stern, who's our subject matter expert. Working with him, I'm trying to get this thing, I'm really crossing my fingers, hopefully by the first of the month, to be able to get it published. Before I publish it, we're going to give it to everybody, take another, just real go over with a fine-tooth comb, see if we need to improve anything. I'm not an RFP specialist, so there's a lot of language in those things that I'm not familiar with.
That's what we have Blair for.
Yep, exactly right. So if I get that thing kicked out at the first of the month, I'll probably leave it open for 30 days and then start doing walkthroughs, or it's when you start filling the phone calls and the emails. So the sooner the better, but we can potentially get something going down here, but you're going to have to probably double it by the time we get to the new jail.
Right.
Any questions for us?
I think that's all.
No, thank you for the update. And thanks for keeping your Facebook updated so everybody in the county knows what's going on. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, Kyle does a really great job doing that.
Yes, he does.
Definitely good.
I think we got over 55,000
Followers.
followers now.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Okay. Is there anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, it is 9:44. We are in recess until 10 o'clock and we meet with maintenance. So have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, good morning. It is 10 o'clock. We are here with facilities and maintenance for an update. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Good morning. I'll start off. First of all, yesterday I did publish the bid for the ADA work at the fairgrounds, and I'm working on the fence line today. And as far as the site work for the bleachers, they'll have it prepared for inspection Thursday, Friday, or Monday. I shared an email with you, and this is just a quick update on the district court grant. I don't know if you read that email chain. That is just an incredibly bizarre answer to get from somebody who said, let's talk at 7 on the phone. So I said, okay. And then I call and he doesn't answer the phone and says, I'm in a secure building. I'll have to call you when I'm not at work. That was his answer from the Department of Justice on this grant. So very, very bizarre. So I kind of pushed back on him, and he sent me an invite for a phone call Thursday morning at 7 a.m. But I don't know how I'm supposed to call him because he won't answer the phone. So I don't know what the heck is going on with that grant. And it's just a very bizarre to have somebody from the Department of Justice say, I'm in a secure building, the phones don't work, I'll call you when I'm not at work. It's a really bizarre response to get from somebody. So
Is it for real?
it is. We've got the grant, and it's kind of funny because I tried to call the switchboard, and the switchboard was like, what's the name of the person you're talking to? What division are they in? And then she found him in the directory.
Oh, okay.
But after 4 attempts using the Department of Justice switchboard, when they go to connect you to someone else, it disconnects you. And you have to call back. I talked to operator number 18, operator number 21, operator 24, and operator 36.
Well, you got
That's
quite a
their-
few more to go.
That's their names. So when you call, I'm like, well, good morning, operator 18.
Are you Central Services 1?
So,
They're trying to make this grant very, very difficult. So they award it, but they don't want you to get it.
it's kind of bizarre, So, and lastly, we did have a security incident last night. So we just received the official directive, I guess, to lower the flag to half staff. We had a homeless person climb up on top of the courthouse. They climbed up the emergency escape at district court and then climbed the chain link fence, that's the old perp walk, to get up onto the courthouse roof and lowered the flag. So we have somebody climbing up the side of the courthouse to get on the roof. So we're just gonna have to take that structure down. They don't perp walk the jail isn't there.
People that cross through there, so I think we gotta figure out how
Is that
to,
the district court prosecutors?
yeah. I know that gets used, so.
Well, kind of like single point of entry, that probably shouldn't be used anymore. So, we can discuss that after the call. So regardless, it's a homeless guy. And he also plays with the garbage under the front steps. He played with the sprinklers last night and he was playing with the trees. What he was doing with the trees, I don't know.
Well, he took a bandolier of roofing nails and tied them up with the one time, so they were going into the bark. And yeah, we've already had him talked about. He was the individual that was in here the one day when the door was.
Is he the one that pulled the fire alarm?
Yes.
Same guy. Put a 2x4 through the front doors of the courthouse. Anyway.
So.
Okay, well, with that, I will turn it over to Kevin. So we will be working on those things.
More to come.
Yeah.
Quite a bit going on still. Public Works, we're spending a lot of time up there getting our arms wrapped around everything. And one thing that came to light last week was air compressors. And so we had a contractor come in and look at a couple of them, one at the central shop, one at the landfill. Both are in pretty poor shape. We're waiting for a quote to repair the one at the central shop. The one at the landfill, he's like, it's not even repairable. It's a 1975 model. They don't make parts for it anymore. So, but he's going to send up some quotes, and we'll have to get more information on what the needs of these shops are, and then figure out what we need to do for replacements if we have to go into replacement. So again, it goes back to building a PM program for these shops. Working with John and Andy, we're trying to figure out who is going to be responsible for what equipment. So you've got the overhead cranes, you got the lifts for the equipment that they work underneath. Then you got the things like the compressors, oil burners, all that stuff in those shops. So we're going to kind of break that out. So maintenance is going to take care of this part, and then the shop personnel will take care of like the lifts, the cranes and stuff like that, making sure those inspections are done in a timely fashion when they're supposed to be done. So a lot of work there. Fuel systems, plugging away at those yet. We're putting QR codes on all of the pumps so people can take their phone and scan in a work request. So one thing that came to light in conversations is that people think that when it doesn't spin really good, that if you kick it, that's the way to fix it. So we want to get past that and get the work order so we can fix it the right way. So once we've already started putting them in place, we should have them in by end of the week, and we'll send out an email that explains how to do it. It's just no different than that QR code right there on the wall. So we also built a dashboard for the work orders so that James Davis, who is doing the software part of the fuel system, can go in there and look at it. And if there's an open work order, he can peek at it and see if it's something that maybe he has to reset in the software or if it's our end. So it's a quick look. It tells us it's a work request, if it's a planned work order, unplanned, and then, we can go attack it and stay on top of it. So lots of stuff going on there. Some other things going on besides at Public Works. We are doing interviews starting tomorrow for the Public Works Site Supervisor position. So we have an internal candidate, and 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, I believe we do the interview for that. We also will have the Site Supervisor position posted for the jail and the sheriff's facilities maintenance position. So we'll post that for 7 days internally and see what we get for candidates and then go from there. So got
We'll
some
see.
things going there, yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Oh, landfill, okay, so going back to Public Works, so again, lots going on there. They're hiring an additional 2 employees, so we have people up there pulling in data cables for that to accommodate them. They also want to remodel that building, and so we're figuring out how that's gonna work. There's a stairway to move on that, if we do the remodel out underneath the mezzanine, basically out in the shop area. And so we'll need some structural engineering done on that to make sure if we change that, what the impact will be. So, again, lots of effort going into public work sites right now. Another bigger project that's starting is the warranty flooring work at the Renew Crisis Solutions my tongue is stuck.
The building next to Renew.
Yeah, the little one. So anyway, it's warranty work for the flooring. And we've been fighting this one for a couple months to get it set up and going. And so we got the contractor who installed it. They worked with the manufacturer of the flooring. Everything's coming together. We're gonna do half of the building this week and then move all the furniture to the other side, and they'll schedule a time when they can get back and finish it up. So they're kind of fitting us in this week to do this part, and then in the next week or 2, they should be back to finish up the other half. So it'd be good to get that one checked off and get that done. Another one of the hot.
Just a minute, Kevin, I'm going to interrupt you just really quick. Dell mentioned that when they were doing a move yesterday, Dell wanted to kind of do a shout out to maintenance and to TS for, it didn't go as well as planned, but he just had nothing but great things to say about both of the teams and how you guys jumped in and helped. So I just wanted to pass that on because, again, we don't always hear the great, we always hear the bad. So I wanted to share that with you. So thank you, team.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, usually it's the opposite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no.
So moving YS youth services on Ivy Street over to Wheeler Road. I'm working with Swahale on setting that up. She thought the windows were gonna be in before we moved them. And I said, well, no, that's not gonna happen that way.
Well, we didn't even know if windows were, it was only a possibility that we could even do it.
Yeah.
So,
So again, it's part of that whole, next week we open up the submittals of qualifications for the RFQ we put out there for engineering and architectural services. And that'll be one of the things that we can use them to come take a look at and see what that building and what we can do with windows on that. It's an old,
furniture warehouse.
yes. And so there's concerns if we start cutting things in, what's it gonna impact, right?
Well, and it's important to note, we did a walkthrough, Kevin, myself, Ricky from GCTS, and Commissioner Jones. And a request was made for the windows, and we talked about it through the lens of find out if it's even possible. So it was never promised. I just want to make sure that, and we should make sure that Swahale knows that, but we'll see, and we'll see what the expense is. So it may not happen this year, so.
Be a beautiful view of that mini storage.
It'd be a beautiful, yes. It's like, it's having.
That was brought up to them as well.
So,
Yeah, the view.
just I just want to set the expectation, it was that we were looking into it to see if it was even possible. So that's an old steel pole building, so.
But, the other things that got done to facilitate that move, the cameras are in place, the cables got pulled for that, and the data drops are in, so that's all. We worked together with TS and we got that part done.
You know what, and I'm going to say this too. So at the County Administrators Conference, the biggest comment that I got from a lot of the county administrators was, how did you end up marrying facilities and your technical services? And I can't tell you how many counties want to do that, and none of them have.
We
So
needed help on cable.
yeah, so it was,
So they talked about it. They're like, we don't know how you did that, but we're going to explore that at our counties. So anyway, it was.
Well, Joe was here when we were not together, and there was a lack of communication, and it was not a very cohesive environment because you're always waiting on either maintenance or, they just weren't communicating. So I would say that's been one of the best things that we've done as a county is, I guess marrying or combining the two.
Yep. So anyway, so it was interesting to hear that from the other counties, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, that's all good feedback, so we like to hear that. So, but I'm just about to the end. So we got our things, museum has also got some stuff going on. I'm gonna meet with Blair sometime this week or early next week about ADA access that was brought up. Oh, look at Tom's eyes just glow, haha, pass that one off. So I'm gonna get with him and we're gonna go walk it and see what that's all about. And then also the sign thing is, waiting for the contractor to get back to me with a quote to find the pins so we can figure out where the sign goes. And I keep in contact with the folks down there to let them know where we're at with that, what's going on with those things. So they also bought up a couple other projects. They got some roof leaks that we're gonna have to look at. And yeah, so just a few things going on. So any questions?
How do we keep the vagrant out?
We're gonna have to look at some way to build a barrier or just take the roof off that thing. We could probably put railings up on that.
Just do a 4 foot.
And just do, yeah, and so right now, so there used to be, when the jail was on the 3rd floor of the annex, they built this chain link cage that went from the annex to the courthouse. And it was completely enclosed. We could probably just remove that and put up some kind of a railing so that there wasn't something to climb up.
Is there a way for the cameras to go off and alert the sheriff's department somehow, or police department?
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
You'd have to look into it.
Well, what we can do though is so I can provide all this data to Joe, or actually to the city of Ephrata, file a complaint. No, I think they all know who he is.
They do. The funny thing about this individual is he actually helps out at the museum. So he's, I don't know if he's autistic or what he has, but yeah, he likes to clean and do landscaping type things. And so we just have to figure out how to be smarter than he is and keep him down, right?
Well, and it looked like, he was playing with the trees, but he went and grabbed a garbage bag, and I don't know if he was pulling weeds or what he was doing, but I think he was trying to clean up around the grates.
So Tom, does he get on those spiral staircases? Is that how he starts?
Yeah, he gets up on the spiral staircase on the district court side at courtroom 301. And then where that chain link cage is, he's got to be climbing on the outside of that to get on the top of it, which then he can climb over onto the roof. So they're
kind of like a little, there's a better word, but a little cubby hole. What if we put a large fence, kind of blocking those two cubby holes in, one by the assessor's office, then we don't have to remove the staircase. And I guess you could probably open it up with an employee badge, but.
Yeah, well, we could do that. We could create a means for egress that would stop, the reason I put bollards up there was because we had a judge that wanted to park in between the buildings. And to me, that's a security risk. It's an easy place to park a car bomb, right? So I put the bollards up there. She was very upset with me, but we've got somebody parking a moped in there now. One of the assessors is parking a moped. So, but yeah, we could block those off and make them pedestrian only, and just figure out a way to make it non-climbable. We could put security fencing up or something, make it non-climbable. So we're buying a whole bunch of that at the new jail. So
4 more feet will work.
We could probably get a few more feet of it. So. Any other questions on the facilities update?
Nope. Thank you for the update. Okay, now we'll be rolling into the TS update. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Somebody found to put the flag at half-mast.
So we do, yeah, we know who put the flag at half-mast, so, yeah.
It was up, down for us this morning when we came in.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yep.
Go ahead, Jim.
Was it supposed to be at half mast today?
You could have stayed right there.
Thanks for the call.
Yeah,
We're
Yeah.
straight on here.
All right.
All right, gonna kind of roll back to some fairgrounds camera updates. It's been a little bit since we've talked about it. We've consolidated down, barn 4445 site into the office shop, site. This allows us to drop a port charge at barn 44 and 45. Excuse me. The motivation for this was twofold: the cost savings on the port charge and to make it easier to get the camera traffic back to the building that we call the Igloo. We have deployed 2 Ubiquiti UNVR Pro units. These are network video recorder units on the north end of the fairgrounds there in the Igloo. We've been consolidating camera access to keep as much of the traffic as possible on the fairgrounds and not moving across the internet side of our network.
those NVRs are fast.
Yes. Yes, they're much, we're doing better every day. Currently, the UNVRs, we have 26 cameras between the 2 of them that we have at north. There's 19 on NVR1 and 7 on NVR2, with 13 more that will soon be on NVR2. This will be bringing the final camera count for the north half of the fairgrounds to 39. We anticipate that there will be as many as 32 cameras on the south half of the fairgrounds, bringing the total count to 71. Today, Ricky and Luke are installing cameras, a camera at the horse wash rack on barn 44. I made the suggestion for that one because I think we had an incident with a little girl here a few years ago that she got tied up in they had a horse wreck there and she
Killed her horse.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then she had to go to the hospital or something, so.
Well, she didn't. It was her
Oh,
horse.
just the
So
horse.
the horse, she walked underneath they got the galvanized bar
Yeah.
that just goes straight across and down. She walked over to the next horse, the bay, and the horse tried to follow her, and the horse went underneath
Oh.
the railing and then tried to stand up and couldn't and panicked.
Yeah.
It stood up so hard,
Flipped out.
fractured its back.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
So I just figured that was a really good place to put a camera. So it'll be on the barn looking south at the wash rack area. So,
And before you move on from cameras, I got something to add, so go ahead.
okay. Today, so they're putting that camera there. They're also going to, once they're done with that, they're going to move to the Harwood and the Ardell pavilions. We put a fiber cluster between the 2 buildings for a PA system a couple years ago. That's going to allow us to consolidate both of those sites into a single site. So we'll also be able to drop a port charge for the Harwood as well. And then that will get us camera connectivity all the way to Green Gate, back up to the Igloo. So, and so that's kind of what's going on with that. And then they got the 3 more cameras that they're going to be putting on the East Campground once they get the consolidation done. So,
To kind of tag on to the cameras at the fairgrounds, with our response to the shooting last year, we're adding, more lighting, which is the Musco Lighting Project, but we're also adding cameras to all of those light poles. In order to do that, we have to give a change order to Napel Electric, who's doing all of the work for the lights. It's about 8,000 feet of wire for them to get powered, all those poles that's separate for all of these cameras that have to go up. So we received a quote from them for $13,785 to do that change. To get somebody else to come in and do that would be really hard to do because it's their ditch. They're already digging all the power lines for the lights. So we have an infrastructure improvements capital budget that's approved for this year that's got $70,000 in it. I'd like to use that. If it's okay with the 2 commissioners here, I know the chair's not here, but if I can get a head nod from the 2 commissioners, I can go ahead and tell Napel to do that, and I can memorialize the conversation in a letter next week for consent, if that's okay with the 2 commissioners here, Cindy and Kevin.
Yes, go ahead and do that.
Okay, all right. So I will give them a note, and we just got the quote. I just received it this morning. It was about $14,500. I asked Chris to go back to Napel and say there has to be a way to try and make that a little bit cheaper. I don't have the ability to really bid that out. So, and they were able to come down about $1,600 from there. They worked with Chris to reduce a couple of things. So
I will write that up in a letter and get that on for consent next week. So thank you.
Moving on, I'm gonna give you an update about Josh. We've had him take his CGIS training and got him a certification so that he's good to go with that. We took him down and got him fingerprinted for his I criminal history background check. We are still waiting for the results for that. We need both of those things together in order for him to move throughout our spaces unattended. While we're waiting on those results, I had him watch some IPv4 networking videos to get some basic network training. I'm going to talk to him more about what he learned when he watched those, just because.
Yeah.
And I was trying to find something for him to do. So
Should we set him up in Pluralsight?
I was thinking about that. I
We'll
want
have
to talk.
to add him.
Well, we'll talk more about that.
Okay.
We've had him crushing some of the old hard drives that we've pulled from like printers and all the different things for disposal. So he's gotten spend quite a bit of time with Beverly Crusher. Star Trek, never mind. And he has in the last day or two been.
You should know that all of the names for equipment and TS are taken from something. So if you'd like to talk about it, what are the names of the network, right?
The main bridge switch for all the switches in the courthouse complex is Bifrost. The main router is Asgard. So, pop culture references, sci-fi stuff. So he's been building computers with Jeremy. We got a fresh load of hardware in, so he's been starting to do that. Jeremy was asking questions about how far we want him to be able to proceed down that path. And I said, well, let's make sure he can get step A done adequately before we move him on to the next part. So I understand that this is kind of a training thing for him, and I have no problem with that. He seems to be doing fine so far, so it's been beneficial. So
good.
We're getting a phone system upgrade. We had a phone call with Ednetics last week. Friday. They're going to be upgrading our Cisco Call Manager version from 11 to 15 on May 13th and 14th. The process will be done in the evening starting at 6 p.m. Each session will last about 4 hours per evening. Downtime should be minimal but sporadic throughout the time frame. This is being done on their end, nothing that we have to do on our end. The reason for the change is the operating system that runs Call Manager is a version of CentOS. It's a Linux distribution, is being deprecated, and they need to maintain support compliance for their customers. So they're jumping to the newest version, I believe, of CentOS in order to do that. I asked them about the huge difference in version between 11 and 15, and they said that version 15 does not offer many feature enhancements to 11, and 11 was hyper stable. They said version 15 is also stable. They just didn't feel the need to make the change for the sake of change. Version 11 was still fully supported by Cisco and was continuing to receive security updates. So
It's like an iPhone update.
Yeah.
You don't really know. It just gets updated.
Yeah. So it's going to be a huge jump for us. So, and apparently we do get a couple features that John was excited for. And I think it's a reporting feature, but I don't remember what report, but he was happy. So PDA training, Ricky, Seth, and Jeremy will be starting their PDA training next week on the 28th. This is the same training that myself, Keith, and John.
This is HPL for cybersecurity.
Yep, the Professional Development Academy. Yep. So, and then the last session will be Luke and Alex this fall. So they're getting ready to gear up for that. So weekly security stats. So email and Barracuda, we had 28,000 emails last week. 3.5 thousand were blocked, quarantined, and no virus emails were blocked. So we're glad that wasn't evil. Umbrella, we blocked 1,000 websites out of 23 million hits. 13 blocks were categorized to security related, and all of those were linked to phishing and malware. So, and that's what I have for stuff. And I'm going to let Keith jump in with some Spiceworks stats and an update on their trip to Laserfish.
Yeah, so, last week, our help desk team, they, took in 89 new tickets. 47 of those are closed out. Once again, I have to commend HR for their continuing improvement with communicating with us. As you can see on the stats here, Larissa is the top ticket creator, and those are all account changes or new ads and stuff like that.
She's pretty awesome.
Yep. So we do appreciate that continued communication. Jeremy in Seth's, mine, and Evan's absence last week, Jeremy pulled ahead to the lead position on ticket closer.
He took advantage.
He took advantage. And then, forgive me, I did find a typo on this. I didn't have time to change it this morning, but, so it says ticket volume for the last 3 months. It's actually 6 months. But as you can see in the graph, our ticket volume is down a little bit, which is nice for our guys working help desk. So, as far as Laserfish and Power, so Evan, Seth, and myself, we attended Laserfish and Power in Vegas last week, along with Caitlin and Tanya and Sheena from the sheriff's office.
Oh, okay.
And it was a really good takeaway. I think everybody learned something valuable from that. When I spoke with Evan, his takeaways from it is that we found some easy things that we can improve for security for workflow, especially as we have new offices and departments starting to actually use it. Now we have new concerns that we have to address as far as security goes, and this is one of them. So basically creating a separate workflow user for each department that has only access to those departments' files and stuff like that, which was a great discovery from Empower. And his big takeaway is we should definitely be using forms a lot more for things. It's a pretty simple way of getting data from wherever we need to get data from. And then he says we definitely need to embrace digital born documents better, and the practice of printing things to put a physical signature on the paper is archaic and unnecessary these days. So, especially since there's laws that make digital signatures accepted as legal signatures, so.
Yeah, we just need to create the policy to do, because I do digital signatures almost all the time now.
Yep.
So.
See here, Seth, his big takeaway is very educational for him. He definitely enjoyed the labs, and right now he's very motivated to review existing forms and see what can be improved and updated. For myself, I learned quite a bit. We have coming up in the future, we'll be updating to Laserfish 12, probably close end of summer, early fall, sometime in there. That's going to come with a server migration that we're going to be working on. There are some really much needed features that I'm excited about. It's a lot of usability and enhancements that are going to make things nice. One of the things that they are bringing in is going to be AI. And so they have a couple of different ways that it can be done. It could be either cloud-based AI or on-prem.
Yeah.
And that on-prem was important for us. And what that's going to do is the AI can take a look at all of these documents, ingest those documents, and give summaries and just
Another good reason for us to be getting ahead of the AI curve, right?
Yes, exactly. And one of the AI features, they're calling it smart fields. So the practice of having to scan a document and then filling out all the metadata fields might be going away, because that's something that is just
Agentic
perfect for, not exactly agentic, but it's very confined to what it does. But it can scan the document and find the information that would fill out those metadata fields. So that's been one of the stops for a lot of departments and offices. They feel that, moving to Laserfish would cause more work for their people, and that removes that barrier. So we're excited about that. We'll be rolling out a test server for Laserfish 12 here shortly. Let's see here. I learned about a different license structure that we can do to leverage, or that we can use to leverage We have a bunch of things that we would like to do in TS that require employees to authenticate in order for secure forms and make sure that we can pre-populate fields and remove human error out of things, which that requires authentication for. So that's going to be coming budget time request for that. Let's see here. For myself, my training, I focused more on high-level topics, advanced workflows, advanced forms, integrations, and API usage. And those are really good, knowledge to have, even if I'm not doing programming. At least when I talk to our developers with CDI, I can better understand and communicate with them on those needs. Right now, I'm working on a project with Renew. It's their on-call project. The big time sink at the moment is creating developer accounts for Apple and Google Play Store. Right now, I'm just in a holding pattern waiting on Apple and Google Play to process identity verification. I don't know if you'd seen any emails from them yet or not about it, but they'll be coming through for that. And then Civic.
Just real quick, I want to make sure, do you have like a 1040 or anything like that, or are you? It's okay.
We have a commissioner work session, but
okay.
It's all right.
Yeah, I have just one last thing.
Yeah, okay.
One last thing to touch on. This week starts the kickoff for our Civic Plus website redesign. I did reach out to all of the departments and offices that actually put content on the site. The departments and offices that have paid for their own header package so that they have their own special branding. And I've got commitments from Public Works, Development Services, Sheriff's Offices, Central Services. Caitlin will be in on that as well. The only people I haven't gotten from, and I feel it's going to be important, is Renew. They haven't identified a person for me to add to the team yet.
Well, they might, and because they might have to get up to speed on the whole thing anyway. So, yeah.
Exactly. So, but that's where we're at. So we're starting on that, and hopefully that's going to be a good project.
What did you think of Laserfish, the conference?
I thought it was great. The smart chat function is one that I'm really excited about. It's supposed to make it a lot more user-friendly for people on the public side, but it essentially does what Barb and I do right now, where people call us and they're like, oh, we're looking for this contract. That happened sometime between 2003 and 2007, and it had something to do with this or whatever. But you can just take exactly that and type it into Smart Chat, and Smart Chat will rifle through the whole repository and then spit back the results, which would be really nice. I really also, that Smart Fields, it's going to save a lot of time for us, but also I was telling them, I think it'll make everything like a standardized kind of format, because the AI will fill everything out the exact same way every single time. So whether it's me scanning stuff in, or Barb, or Johnny down the street or whatever, it's all going to be put in the exact same formatting. And as long as the metadata field's the same, but if you put in the description box, this is what I'm looking for, it's going to be really nice. I think
even the homeless guy on the roof can use it.
They'll have a great time with Smart Chat.
Keep them occupied.
Any questions for GCTS?
I don't have any.
Cindy?
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I do not have any. Thank you for presenting.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Sweet. Back at it.
Okay, I do want to add, Caitlin did go to the Laserfish training, and I'm pretty excited to see what she's going to implement in our office, because I can just see and hear her enthusiasm. So I'm excited to see what's coming next.
Yeah. Jeremy and Evan and Seth are both excited to help with learning and getting stuff like that going. The more they get exposed to it, the biggest thing for me is having more people getting experience with it, so it's not all on my shoulders.
And this is going to be a great topic in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Because, there's a ton of people that use Laserfish too. So you're going to be among an entire group that does that. So
once you get all the processes like automated and everything too, everything's just going to...
Well, and the other thing is you'll be amongst others that have already built processes, and you're probably going to hear some, and you're going to be like,
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
The digital signature part is going to be crucial for
the
jail moving forward, and the ability to move documents between the new facility and the courts.
Yes.
And I've already spoken with the clerk about this, about digital born documents for the clerk. And she is okay with digital born documents. She is okay with digital signatures of 2 different types. That was a huge potential issue because she had to figure out the way that she needs the record, right? So what's an acceptable standard for, by law for the clerk? And she's like, no, we can do this and we can do this. And I said, you're okay with that? She's like, yep. I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
So
It'll become key too with the prosecutor's office, because we now have 2 fully remote employees.
yeah.
Last thing for me, so I don't know if I fixed the invite for you yet. City of Moses Lake moved our meeting to next Tuesday. They have staff shortages and they can't make the meeting. And then I just wanted to verify, I know that Rob can't make it, but Cindy, you and Kevin are both planning on meeting up with the Grace Harbors commissioners on Thursday. Are you guys gonna come to the taco bar lunch and walk around the jail with them?
Yeah.
Okay, let me confirm. I've got to look at my calendar because I've got it, and I know I have an appointment that afternoon, so let me make sure I can travel back and forth.
Okay.
But I will get back to you. So it is 10:39. We are in recess. Kevin, can we just cancel the next meeting, or do you want to keep it?
No, that's fine. We can cancel it.
Okay, so we are, and I believe our 11 o'clock is canceled, so we will resume at 1 o'clock
Yep.
today with HR, I believe.
Yep. Yes.
Okay, well, we are in recess until 1 o'clock today. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. It is 1 o'clock. We are here with HR for our weekly update. Welcome.
Thank you. First item on the agenda, labor relations. I don't have any topics today.
Do you want to call just for the public comment?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So
Almost
Commissioner
forgot.
Carter, do you want to call for that?
Public comment.
Yes, I'm just, it is 1:01. We have, do we do 5 minutes for, do we have anybody from the public who would like to comment on any of the agenda items for HR?
We have no one online.
Well, since we have no one online and nobody here, we will roll right into the meeting.
Thank you. Okay, so number 1, labor relations, nothing today. Hopefully we'll have something next week for solid waste. So we can get that contract finally wrapped up, I'm hoping. Item number 2, I am going to ask for an executive session. Employee evaluation. How long do you think? 10 minutes, 5 minutes?
Thank you. How much?
10?
Okay, so we will go in executive session for 10 minutes for the employee evaluation, RCW 4231.10.1G.
Can you call the beginning and end time, please?
It'll be 1:01 to 1:12. We are out of executive session. It is 1:12. We are going to extend for another 10 minutes from 1:12 to 1:22. And again, it is RCW 4231.10.1G, job applicant / evaluation. Okay, we are out of executive session. It is 1:22. We are going to go in for another, let's go 13 minutes to 1:45. Executive session, again,
13 minutes?
13 minutes.
To
From 1:22 to 1:45.
Oh,
Clearly, I can't either.
So for your sheet, it was 23 minutes.
1:22 to 1:45. I put it.
20, what did I say?
Yeah, it should
23
have been,
minutes?
I think I
22
said
minutes.
13. It needed to be 22.
Yeah. Okay, so are we live?
We are live.
Okay. Item number 4, position management. Yesterday, we, in PMR, we had 2 positions come forward, or 2, 1 reclassification and 1 step request. So PA's office reclassification, is the board ready to make a decision on PA's request?
We did not hear back from Mandy on how much funds would come out of 105, so we don't know what that figure is. Just putting it out there.
Like I said, I think we're going to be fine this year because we can't even fill the positions that we have. That's not the way we should be operating.
And we can hold it for a week if you'd like to hear back from her. Or you can make a
No, the
decision.
prosecutor's office is always end of the year with a couple $100,000 to the good. Probably depends, it just depends what they. I know they're, I don't know. I'm okay, I mean, I feel good enough with the budget like it is, how they've ended it the last several years I've been working on it, moving forward on it, but we can wait till all three commissioners are here.
Hold that one, okay. And the second position, Development Services, the building official. The candidate had a counter offer to the 18.4. Wanted to come in at an 18.7, which is above our standard process, which then it has to come to the board for approval.
Is this an in-house person or?
In-house person, yep.
Rob and I.
Oh, and you didn't have the information
Yes.
yesterday.
Rob and I agreed that 18.5, Rob said 18.5, I think planning, the director of planning was okay with 18.5, I don't want to say.
That
I
one?
think we were okay with 18.5 moving forward.
Actually,
Oh, do you have it?
yeah. That's got scribbles all over it. So that shows, Kevin, where the employee currently is. And then the 18.7, that is the request. And then the 5 and the 6 between. That we could counter his counter with. Or not.
So you're thinking 5?
Yeah, we agreed. Here's some more information. But I don't want to put words in Rob's mouth, but I do believe he said he was okay with 18.
He did. I do have it documented for that.
And Jim was okay with 18.5. I was okay with 18.5. But if you want to wait till next week, we can definitely wait till next week. You will, this position will be, instead of a 6-month, it was 18.4, it'd be a 6-month step. You will get a step in a year because we're moving him up higher to a higher position.
I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I know Jerry, I know he's been at it for a long time. He knows what he's doing, so I think experience costs money, and to me, it's worth paying somebody that knows what they're doing.
So the board is okay with us
You're
countering.
18.5 or?
I'm okay with 18.5.
Okay. Then the second piece to that is if he wants to bargain more, do I have bargaining authority to a 6? Or
Well, if we're bargaining, we're actually in executive session, so. Because he would know. So we probably, can we shoot you an email on that?
Yes, you sure can. Which is public record. So I will,
We'll visit with you on
we
that.
will go back with what the board has agreed to,
Okay.
and we
I
can.
guess if he wants to come back to the board and we will discuss it.
Fair enough.
Okay. Sorry.
Nope, I appreciate you stopping me. I'm just on a roll. Let's see, I'm going to. Oh, item number 5, compensation study. We're meeting with a company that we've contracted with on 4/30/25 next week. Does anyone on the board would they like to participate in this meeting and in the committee that we're putting together?
I would love to be a part of it.
Okay. You have been
I do have.
cheerleader for it, so I
Okay,
think that that's appropriate.
know I have a W. What time on Wednesday is the meeting on the
I'm
30th?
gonna look really quick. I want to say it was at 3,
Okay,
but I'm gonna double check.
okay. Just me a calendar invite.
Okay. Wonderful, thank you. Second item under number 5, emails. This came up today. We're working on time and attendance with Tyler. And also yesterday, we were in a meeting with local GovU, which is our new training program that the county has invested in. And emails are needed for all employees, including volunteers.
An email address or, okay.
Yeah, and so, and that, in talking to Keith and TS, that does come at a cost. Employee or volunteers who don't have emails right now, I think we're looking at, well, $4, yeah, it's $4 or $65 a year per seat.
So that
However,
should be like Board of Ec, Fair Advisory.
yeah, there's 62 that I've counted that we are aware of.
I know the Fair Advisory,
Oh, I don't have fair advisory on
okay.
there.
I think Jim's already given them the email address, just so
Okay,
they.
but the Board of Ec,
They do have them already.
the board does?
Okay.
Okay, oh,
Because
perfect,
we try to
okay.
give them so that they're not, but I can't say that every board has an email address, but
Yeah.
no one, they're sending different stuff, contracts through.
Youth services, I don't know that their GALs or volunteers have
There's just a couple of those. They don't have a lot.
emails. So there was, we pulled it, there was 62.
Okay, there may be some of the volunteers that actually do have them.
And more than half were under current expense,
Okay.
just so that the board is aware. So my rough math is about $4,500 a year. Kevin did say that that $4 per
Employee per month.
per seat, that could maybe able to negotiate to a lower amount, but that provides them the basic email, which they'll need to be able to.
Is it email and office?
It sounded like it was pretty basic,
Just email.
just emails.
But I think if there's a public records request and it probably would be safe for us to have it if they don't already. But I thought we tried to clean most of those up several years ago, so they had it because of that problem.
And I know that DCL, they don't have emails
Oh,
out there. That
there's
was a
quite a
whole
few. Yeah,
different,
that's like 1,000 people.
different reason for that. But we're gonna have the county on a training program that requires you to log in using your email. You have to have an email. If you
Okay.
have time and attendance that requires you to log in with an email, you have to have an email. So, and it is kind of the way of the world for people to communicate with each other. If there was something that HR needed to send out, we need to be able to contact all employees. That includes volunteers. Okay. Where are we? Next item, number 6. NeoGov, we're starting onboarding implementation, so we're excited about that. That will help streamline onboarding. People will be able to fill out their documentation before they start is the hope. We'll have orientations. The goal is to have orientation scheduled a couple times a week here at the courthouse, be able to walk people around the courthouse, find the important offices such as commissioners, HR, payroll, get that type of an orientation, help them with paperwork if necessary, but all the important I-9s, tax documents, that can all be done before their first day, which is exciting.
Does insurance kick in 60 days after?
30.
30, okay, unless an elected official, then it's the day they start.
Yeah, does it start the 30 days or does it start the first month?
I think it starts the first.
The first month.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think there was a waiting period. It used to be there was a
Like a 60-day
lag
window
at
or
the
something.
end that they'd have that month, but now it's if they start before the 15th, they have it the entire month.
Okay. Speedy now.
We are speedy. We are speedy. However, they don't get to keep that extra month after they leave, so
Right.
it's kind of a wash.
Right.
Do we want to, we don't have time to go into the pension stuff. Okay, do that next week. Dan and Jonathan went to Big Bend Community College Job Fair. They attended that last week. That was exciting, and I'm gonna share a moment on that.
It was well attended. Yeah, there was probably a few hundred people. They had the whole place packed, and it was normally when I've gone to them before, they kind of, you'll see like waves of people. This was just a steady flood of people. Everybody from students to local community members. There were people that had recently gotten laid off from, some of the downsizing that has been in the news in Moses Lake. So it was really well attended. And we got an opportunity to talk about the positions that we had and the ones that we have coming up. So I think it was a really good opportunity, and we look to hopefully expand on that.
Good.
For local GU, I will be sending out a memo to all staff so you can see that coming, that this new platform is going to go live next week. And so when I get an email from the organization that it is a real email, and to please log in using your email and change your password. So that's coming. And then time and attendance, we have that today at 3. Continue to ask the board for the support during that meeting, that the initiative that everybody do it consistently, the clock in, clock out for the first year, at least for the first year.
Only if you want a paycheck.
What's that? Only if you want a paycheck.
You remember that story I told you of that employee who
Yes,
didn't? It was this guy.
It was helpful.
It was him.
It's bad when the HR guy happens to be the subject of the.
But I'll
of the
tell you, he
example,
never
but
did it again.
Wow.
Never.
Never did it again.
Always submitted his timesheet on time.
Yeah. So I'm hoping for a good turnout at the meeting, and I hope that our leaders in the county are, even though most humans are resistant to change, I'm hoping that our leaders are up for
We are up
this
for the
moving
challenge.
forward.
This will be simplify things.
And they all bring their own weather,
Yes.
which is going to be bright and sunny today.
Gina, are you signing up for the next course?
I don't know.
Oh,
Not yet.
Maybe.
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think Tom has an opening coming up.
Okay,
So
I know Kevin is starting. So Kevin will know, like, what the heck are you talking about your own weather?
bring in your own weather.
You'll know. Bring your own weather. And leaders don't have bad days.
Leaders don't have bad days.
Where's the exit sign?
All right, okay.
Okay, well, I got through the agenda. Thank you.
Before you leave though, I'm supposed to ask you, there's an email about the next elected official department head lunch. If May 12th is working for you for the training that the board was requesting.
Well, I would appreciate and ask the board, since we know that this meeting comes every quarter, that we have more than a week and a half to put together trainings for any time. Because we know the meeting's coming, and it seems like every time there's a request, it's last minute. Oh, we don't have anything, HR will do whatever. So, Gina, I know that you have a training on FMLA. Are you prepared to present
It
that
only
with
has
it
to be like
for
5 or
them?
10. I mean, it's more of kind of a refresher because
Yeah.
we've seemed to have some of our departments that are. And I think when I visit with you, sometimes we as employees feel like we've got the right paperwork, but then that's maybe for FMLA, for the county level, and then for the Paid Family Medical Leave Act, that's kind of two separate, I mean, I think just kind of an overview of, it doesn't have to be complex or just very simple, like, just because you got it through the county doesn't mean it just rolls right in.
Right.
There's two different, like, silos that we're just gonna simplify it, but I think just maybe.
It has to be simplified.
It doesn't have to be, but.
There's nothing, there is
nothing.
nothing simple about PFML
Where's the exit
and
sign?
FMLA.
Where's the
Nothing
exit?
And I
simple.
think it's just that it's overwhelming and people just don't understand.
And the number one thing we can tell people to do is call HR. Call
Well, that's
us and
usually
have a
like,
conversation
talk to
because
HR. I have
every
no idea.
single situation is different and it's not gonna match what your friend down the hall had to do or did. It's just different, so.
And I think it's a refresher just for the board as well,
Absolutely.
because we are asked and I have no idea, I'm like, talk to HR.
Yeah.
I don't know, sounds.
So is that a yes for May 12th and a simplified 5-minute FML?
It's not 5 minutes.
Well, they want to.
But yes.
I mean, I don't want you to feel like you have to do like an hour presentation.
It'll take an hour.
Really? Okay, I don't know if we have time for a whole hour. We have some other things. Well, you know what?
I could
It's
do
actually
30
not
minutes.
my agenda, it's Rob's. So I'm gonna let Rob get back to you on.
If I can have
If
30
we
minutes.
can't do it this next one, we could schedule it for the following one, which would give
Okay.
us time. The board wouldn't schedule anything else within that time.
Okay. It's usually the
If
chair,
you're gonna need a
so I don't
full,
wanna
need a
be.
full hour.
I could do
I
30
will
minutes, but even that's gonna be tight. Because then we want to leave room for questions.
The board gave Caitlin and I other options, so, but then Cindy had mentioned the FMLA part, so we were gonna see if you
Yeah.
were available.
Because you were actually our training component, so we can have lunch.
Yes.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
you know what, we could probably do something else training. So I'm gonna have Rob just visit with, I'm gonna leave him a little note.
Okay.
Yep, he can chat with us about it and
Yeah, the HR department has a FMLA presentation that's pretty condensed, but
It's like
it's
a
not
one
5
step on
minutes.
his toes. So I'm just gonna put a little note here on his screen and.
okay.
All right,
Anything
and
else?
204, we are out of our HR update. And rolling into our commissioners meeting.
Okay. And you don't have anybody waiting in the hall to come in?
No, where's the room?
You know what a 5-minute FMLA presentation would sound like? FMLA is the Family Medical Leave Act at the federal level. It is unpaid. The employer has an option to have it paid, and it is our policy. And that's it. That's all I can say.
Well, I think some, yeah, I think it's just helping elected officials and department heads kind of, yes. Just go to HR, go to HR.
Well, and the other part of it too, Cindy, is that we've heard from multiple elected officials saying, I don't want my staff to get FMLA paperwork, which violates the federal law.
Is that illegal? That's
Yes.
why they get sued. I had no idea we had employees that.
And so
Maybe
part
I
of the
thought-
training, if we're gonna do it, will be the board, we're not live,
Yes, we are.
will be the board saying, we have to send this paperwork out.
It's
a lot. The other two things that you guys had mentioned for the, like, discussion topics, I don't know if you want to try to swing it as a training, but we're talking about like the lexical policies, and like an update about that, policies and the trainings, which I know Blair is also invited to it. And then there was like an introduction of Blair, which he had said that he could do. And then you guys had also mentioned maybe just an update about the compensation study. If you guys want to do that this time around, and then I can just make a note of the LA thing for next quarter.
I feel like that we are, by the 5th, I'm not gonna have a lot of information to update by. I only have we have one meeting scheduled on the 30th with the
But I
compensation
think
study.
that is an announcement that we're moving forward. We've signed the contract. We've selected somebody.
All of that's in the past and we're moving forward,
And we're
Gina.
Moving
That is
forward.
huge. That is literally
Yeah.
huge. That
It is-
we
it is
are
big.
this far ahead. So I think it's worth,
But you guys have to have a training component in order to have lunch?
yes.
Yes.
Maybe I'll talk to Decora offline and, can we get back to you?
And
Yeah,
then
well,
we're
and Rob,
moving it to the 12th.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to confirm with you guys,
Oh,
since you're the key components, before I send out an elected official department head email saying it's gonna be on the 12th, and then surprise you guys.
okay.
So yes, if that date works for you guys, I'll send out that notice, so that way people can plan around it, and then we can all discuss.
Yeah.
I feel like Gina and Deborah are like, we're gonna be gone that day, so it'll be perfect.
I'm feeling sick on that day, so no.
Well, again, we'll,
Did you put in your sick leave slip?
Yes.
right now, I'm gonna put this in right now. Well, okay, it's 2:07, we are rolling into
Okay.
our commissioners meeting. Thank you.
Thank
HR.
you.
We have an open forum for public comment, 5-minute time limit. Is there anybody here or online? Nobody is here. Anybody online?
I attempted to unmute or promote Jim McKiernan, but he did not want to, so I will allow Jim to speak. Jim, if you have public comment today,
Speak, Jim.
forever hold your peace.
No public comment. I just was waiting to see if there was any questions on my, oh, now my camera shows up, maybe. See if there's any questions on my, consent item. That was all.
Your scrap metal?
Scrap metal. Yeah, I'm trying to clean up the boneyard.
Good.
Okay, and I just want to correct, I said, open forum for public comments, 3 minutes per person, 50-minute timeline. I was on the wrong, I was looking at HRs. Any other, thank you, Jim. Any other comments?
There's no one else on there.
Okay. So looking for approval of the agenda.
That's a move.
I'll second this. I'm going to motion a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The agenda has been approved. I want to just make sure Rob is not on.
No.
Correspondence and emails or letters of support. Do we have anything?
No.
Caitlin, thank you for the video and the commercials. I did send those off to Milwaukee City, so thank you.
Good, yes.
Commissioners roundtable, miscellaneous discussion. Apparently we need to talk about the elected official department elections. We'll get that wrapped up when Rob's here.
I think legislatively, they did pass the 1 to 3% tax on real estate tax or
Read.
property taxes.
Oh, property taxes, so good. They are trying to make REIT, and it sounds like it's gonna pass. So the REIT 1 or REIT 2, that just simplifies it, which will make our budgeting process much nicer. Consent agenda items 1 through 23.
I make a motion that we approve
18 consent agenda items, I'm sorry.
agenda items 1 through 18.
I'm sorry, I'm, okay. 1 through 18, that was my error. You made a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll second. There's been a motion and second to approve the action items 1 through 18. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The consent agenda items have been approved, all 18 of them. Are there any walk-ons?
No.
Is this, we're on a roll here. Shouldn't say anything. Okay, well, let's go ahead and sign.
Okay, Jimmy, get ready to scrap metal.
Okay. The only other question I had was, is there any further discussion on the contract, the headliner contract?
Well, we're hoping that you have that all straightened out with that crazy contract that you had with lines all over in it.
Yeah, that's pretty standard, actually. It just happens the same as last year because the company that we're hiring the entertainer through happens to be repped by the same company. So it's last year's was messy and this year's is messy.
Yes, let me find my notes because Rebecca, Barb was okay moving forward on there. The red lines would be approved and fixed. I think the venue and some of the other items that Barbara had concerns, they were addressed previously.
Yep.
And there was discussion of instead of contracting with Romeo, maybe next year, and then Romeo goes out and does the other smaller contracts, but this is what I gleaned off of it, that
Maybe Romeo needs to clean up his act.
Romeo, yeah.
but they were okay, and she, Barbara Durbeck actually brought it back just because we have a new commissioner in case you kind of had some more thoughts or insights, but.
Do you want me to submit it then, for consent next week?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm okay with it, but I think next year Romeo needs to clean up his contract.
Well, I think the best bet is just to basically contract with Romeo only and let them handle all the entertainer contracts.
Jim, did I cover everything? Because I feel like I did take some notes, but that was a bulk.
Yeah, her biggest concern was the venue, if there was a suit of some kind, and we did get that changed to Grant County, Washington. So that seemed to be Barbara's biggest concern, and that was addressed.
And if there is a suit, it's going to be a little difficult because it's
just entertainment contracts. It's a 38-page contract, so it's just a lot of little things. And so that contract actually came from the entertainer. It then goes to Romeo. Romeo redlines the contract. Then they send that package to us. So it's not actually Romeo's contract. It's the headliner's contract.
So the contract is confusing, but there are emails going back and forth which clarify the contract.
Yes.
But if there were to be a lawsuit, it would be a little confusing, but the emails you'd have to introduce emails in it to provide clarification.
And then everybody gets to interpret what everybody's thinking.
Right.
That's the part that I don't like.
So, yeah, pretty much scary when I go by memory because I'm not quite sure what I remember and what I don't.
We've been represented by Romeo now for 6 years, and they've never steered us wrong on anything. So.
He's got the.
That's why I don't worry about it, 'cause I know what you're doing, Jim.
Thank you, Kevin, for finding that. I'm like, I don't know.
So I'll submit it to consent for next week. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Bye.
Thanks, Joe.
So our AP batch.
I don't know there.
Letter of support for the Port of Mattawa.
We did find out that Kathy is actually receptive to, doesn't give you energy, but it blocks something that makes you tired. Researching Kathy.
Good thing I don't drink much. One cup of coffee, that's it.
I drink much. I drink lots of caffeine.
This is 22, right?
Yes.
422.
Okay. So I just keep drinking it. If you never run out, then you never have a crash, right?
Yeah.
The ARPA beneficiary agreement. Is there no place to sign in the beneficiary agreement?
I think this is just changing, and I thought we were giving them funds, but it's just changing the owner from Jake's well to
reimbursement request from McKay Healthcare. Reimbursement request from Renew. Another reimbursement request from Renew.
I'm supposed to be signing something in there, let me know.
Yeah, pretty sure there's flags in there, it's fine. It's a recommendation of appointment for the Mosquito Control District 1.
So what are you gonna be implementing right away? I know you were telling us there's still stuff you're just trying to roll out on.
Right now, my focus is our work with Megan Greger, because once we get that going, that's like the big hill. It's a consulting contract. That's the big hill, just getting our office on that one big workflow with this, so then you guys can check boxes and DocuSign stuff instead of actually.
And we have iPads.
Signing.
We need to bring our iPads.
Yes. Contract with Eastside Asphalt. Yes, and then once that's in, I would really like to just have like all the documents, like the LTAC reporting or even the grant applications or contact us things,
surplus. We had
surplus.
that all online when we tried it for a little bit, then
Yes.
COVID hit.
Yes,
then-
it would be really nice to have all of those just be through Laserfiche, especially like the volunteer applications for boards and committees. Because then it's just the same looking form, and I like it when everything looks the same.
Our minutes would be really fast then.
Yes, I think that's, the goal is for it to spit out, so we'll do the agenda on Laserfiche and then it'll spit out like the template for the minutes, so then we can just add in what we need to and then it'll be done. It'll make the agenda process a lot quicker too. This is opioid settlement funds for new. I am also I'm really excited about these AI features. Whenever the time comes that we can have those put in, it'd be really cool.
Business assignments?
It's a great question. I don't know. Do you know, it's the opioid, is that the opioid one? No, which one's that one?
Renew for DD residential support programs cost. Over signature.
Is it for Dell to sign it?
Well, it says grant county developmental disabilities.
Oh, then yes, is there no sticker on there?
There is, but
Okay,
are we
yeah.
the ones that sign?
Yes, they sent it specifically over because they were not going to sign it themselves. So you
Okay.
sign that annually apparently, or the board signs that annually.
We missed your guys' signatures on these two.
Really?
Yes, I'm sorry. Well, that wasn't a sticker. I'm sorry. I saw it after.
I was asking you, I'm
sorry.
like, man, we are zipping through here really fast.
That would be a Barb because Barb was in.
No, that's totally fine. Usually,
We're getting it.
I thought I got them all. Darn it.
I know, you're just trying to save us money on those little stickers.
usually Caitlin will say, hey, these are not marked, so. I'm like,
Yes. Not this one. This is for Bill Coates to sign the Gallup contract agreement. 13, this is a request for a public hearing to surplus. They are jet boats. This is other request for the hearing to surplus jet boats.
Each have a boat and a trailer.
We're in a purchase order, which Cindy, I believe there's a signature spot for you and Kevin since Rob is not here. There might have been a signature on that one too. It's fine.
That's why I probably should have.
Well,
sat
those
down
ones
there.
don't typically have a little thing. The sheriff's office just likes to sneak them in sometimes.
Is that to surplus? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
why that was back there.
they did a signature
It's
block.
just a trick. They're just-
They
I
don't
know
usually
why
do
they did
signature
that.
blocks.
Maybe that's why I didn't put a sticker, because I'm like, that doesn't need to
No,
be
yeah,
on there.
nobody go anywhere. Let me look at this real quick before you guys go places. Well, you have to have the hearing because of the amount.
An hour tonight, so like 30 minutes.
Got that one, and then we got this one. Opioid settlement funds, this is just a memo. Here, okay, we're good. Did it, I
Okay,
looked.
Are we happy?
it is 2:20, we are in recess until 3 o'clock, we meet with
The ERP implementation meeting with HR, elected officials, department heads.
Stan Taylor, so until 3 o'clock.
So what's the 4 o'clock?
The Grant County Animal Outreach, Animal Rescue. They requested the meeting, right? ARFs did?
Yes, for all of the animal rescue organizations to come and speak with the board.
What do I get? Stop video?
And stop.
Yes, and mute.
So-
And audio.
So how long does that go?
They want.
Hello, can you hear us, Holly?
Just barely.
I will try to be louder.
Oh, there, I can hear you a little bit better there.
That side of the table's not Besides loud, yeah.
Okay, Holly, at 3 o'clock, we will start at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me? Holly, the meeting will
Yes.
start at 3 o'clock in less than a minute, so I'll open it up at 3.
Okay.
My mic doesn't work. I just
I
need
saw
to
the
lower it
email.
down.
I saw the
Try to give it a little yank, but I don't need any drama today.
Is it okay if I share my screen or?
Yes.
Okay. And who is that talking?
Commissioner Carter. Commissioner.
Hi.
I'm
All
not sure
right.
if you have the video. Can you see the video of the hearing room?
I can, yes.
I'm standing up. Right by
All
the
right.
I miss my chance to be a singer, so.
Hey, I love it. All right. So what you should be seeing is the agenda.
Okay, good afternoon. It is 3 o'clock. We are here with a room full of leaders for the Tyler EERP implementation stakeholder meeting. And so I guess we'll just start off, Holly, with you, since you have the opening remarks, and we'll go down the agenda. Let's follow.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you so much. Well, hello, everyone. Some of you may already know me from our greater project team meetings each month. My name is Holly O'Runyon, and I am the project manager for the Tyler EERP implementation. I am the project manager for the county. So I work along with the project manager at Tyler Technologies as well. Her name is Janice. And I'm glad we could all come together for this very important topic on time and attendance today. This meeting is really part of our continued effort to be transparent about what's changing and why. And instead of including this information in our usual greater project team monthly check-in, we wanted to devote a whole special meeting for just this topic. So you'll be hearing from our commissioners today about the countywide directive for employees to clock in and out and what that vision really looks like from a leadership perspective. We also have invited our Tyler consultant, Shauna Miner, here, and she will walk us through a very high-level overview of the time and attendance system, just to give you a sense of what it looks like and some of its features. We are in the implementation phase right now, so that's part of configuring time and attendance, setting up users, setting up rules, and calculations. So we are in that phase, but she will be able to show you the system and give you a sense for it. And then before we wrap up, our project sponsors, Decora, Felicity, and Mandy, will be able to answer questions. So we have a Q&A time at the end of the day. So please don't hesitate to ask questions. So you can see our agenda in me. I have the welcome. And then I'd like to turn it over to Michelle Jederland, our executive sponsor for the entire Tyler EERP implementation project, to just talk a bit about current state, future state, and welcome you as well. So Michelle, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, well, thanks. Thank you everyone for coming and attending this. And I just want to say, I just have a little paragraph I want to read. And welcome to the new era in Grant County. We are embarking on a transformative journey towards progress. Our new software system is not just a tool, but a pathway to increase efficiency, endless possibilities, and unmatched innovation. Let's welcome this change with open minds and hearts, knowing that it will bring numerous opportunities for growth and success to our county. That's my
Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. So, Michelle, do you want to just turn it over to the commissioners?
Well, I could just jump right in.
You just jump right in and go for it.
Good.
Paragraph here, but I'm again locked out of my computer, so I'm just going to wing it. But it's true, I am. We took the Professional Leadership Academy training, which all the elected official department heads, I really recommend it. It's just great. What I've learned though is 3 bullet points, and that's about it. And I've got 3 bullet points right here, so it'll be perfect for me. We want to thank everybody who's been working on this. It has been quite the arduous task during the transition of the change of employees and just, there's been a lot of change and implementing this has been very, very difficult. As commissioners, we will be supporting HR on this, the accounting, everybody, the vision of time entry. We did it before, I guess years and years ago. Our office did kind of a segment of a different type of it, Nova time, entering the different hours. It does work. It's, if you want to get paid, basically, if you want to get paid, you will be entering your hours. I just want to be as simple as that. It's going to be a little difficult. It's not going to be fun. We're probably going to get some pushback, but it's just kind of part of the system that we're asking everybody to put your hours in, and you will have an email address to do this. So we're here to support the project, and hopefully we have a lot of support on this.
I would agree. I'm new, so I'm looking forward to any changes, improvements that we can make, and all of us working together. I think it's very important. I think this will help. So you're definitely gonna have my support.
Okay, so moving on to the, I think Shauna.
Hey, Shauna, do you have the ability to share your screen?
I'm going to try. So
okay. All right. So Shauna is our Tyler consultant who's helping us implement time and attendance. So we asked her to be here to give a high level overview, and then we can move into questions and answers.
Okay. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to start with saying the team has put in a lot of effort in setup. I'd say 75, maybe even 80% we are done with our setup. We have little things we're doing here and there. Once we have it fully set up, we're going to test out, make sure our setup's correct, make sure employees can clock in and out. So having said that, there's several ways that employees can clock in and out. There's a physical time clock, which those have been purchased. There's also a mobile app that has been purchased included in the fees as well. But you can clock in on a physical time clock on the mobile app. Also via the URL link here, you can clock in and out. So logging into time and attendance, you can quickly clock in and out here, editing your time if you need to job cost, if you need to change your position you're working, we have set all of that up. So some employees have that, some don't. So looking at time and attendance here, you have employee actions. Everyone will be clocking in and out in one form or another. Everyone can see their time here. So once they start clocking in and out, adding their time, it's going to show this in the inquiry here. Shows you the breakdown. If we've set up an overtime policy for an employee, they would just continue to clock in and out, and that overtime would auto-calculate. There is a timesheet entry, so possibly any type of pay that you don't clock in and out, but you still need to record to get paid, could be entered on a timesheet here. Time summary is how they can see that time. So it's another breakdown. They can see week 1, week 2, you know, if they've job costed anything. Again, not every employee job costs, but if you do, you can see that here clean and easy. Everyone will see their benefits. So once the benefits are set up in the payroll system, you know, if you have sick and vacation, whatever exceptions you have, the employees will get to see what they have. They'll get to see their current balance. They'll also see anything they've requested that's been approved, anything that's pending, and then that remaining balance. So if I've taken vacation next month, that 8 hours will show as either pending because it's not been approved yet or approved, and my remaining balance will be minus that 8 hours of vacation or sick. So they'll get to see this visually, this running total. They can also see it on a calendar view. So once they've requested it, it shows one color, shows pending. Once the supervisor approves it, it turns another color and goes directly onto their timesheet for them. This is where they can make their time off requests. So when I click this plus button, I would get a drop-down list of what I am eligible to take. So if I have sick and vacation, exempt or if I have sick and vacation because I'm hourly non-exempt, those pays would show here for me based on which employee I am. Hours request is just another way to request any type of pay that has to be pre-approved prior to being put on a timesheet. So there are different sites, and we haven't all completely 100% defined these, but hours request could be possibly someone who doesn't have an overtime, they could request that overtime. Maybe it's jury duty, we don't consider that an exception. So there's lots of different things we can do with hours request. But the purpose is to have the employee submit it to the approver and have it approved prior to going on their timesheet. Then the last thing for employees at the end of the pay period, they come in, they get to review their time, make sure they have their regular, if they had overtime, any type of benefits, and then their total for the pay period. So at the end, they simply click approve and submit. That approves the timesheet, it date stamps it, and it sends the workflow off to the supervisor to be approved. So now it's sitting in the supervisor's approval queue. If you approve time, here you'll see that you can, the employee time summary, each supervisor is set up to only see those employees that are in their division or group. This visually tells the supervisors what they're seeing. Hey, this employee doesn't have any hours, or maybe they have hours, but they haven't been approved. So what the supervisors and payroll are looking for at the end of the pay period is to see all green check marks that says the employee has time, the employee has approved it, and the supervisor has approved it. This is how supervisors manage time off. So this would be a list of my direct reports that I would approve time for. Same for hours request here. They will come in based on the workflow that we've set up and supervisors can approve. There's lots of different things here without going into great detail. There's always an audit trail. So any transaction that happens on an employee's timesheet, there's an audit trail. There's an approval audit. So when did the supervisor approve it? When did the employee approve it? And then down here, it's time approvals. So at the end of the pay period, the supervisor sees what's pending. They can also uncheck this and then go through each of their direct reports. As long as the employees approved it, then they click approve here. And now it's all green and ready to go to payroll. So that's a very quick high level overview, but knowing that you have multiple ways to clock in and out, and that supervisors can see, manage, and maintain that time for their employees.
Thank you, Shauna. If you can still stay on, sure. We'll kind of move into question and answer. Felicity and Mandy and Decorah, I'm kind of looking to you since you're in the room to guide the Q&A. If you're able to answer the questions, great. Otherwise, we can just sort of have a conversation and Shauna can help us out as well.
Sounds good, thanks, Holly. Are there any questions?
Your hand shot up really fast.
It's easy. So is the time off requests, can you see it by division in a calendar form? So can I see all of my employees' time off requests in a calendar?
Yes, you can.
Yes, Jim.
I can. Perfect. So exempt employees, put in, they're putting in timesheets now?
Yes.
Okay.
They're asking for that consistency for payroll, so throughout the time. And then by time sheets, we can clock in and clock out. Yeah, they'll be clocking in and clocking out like everybody else, not writing anything.
Corrections or changes, how do you do those? Let's say, for example, I'm planning to go to the doctor and I put in 2 hours, but my appointment only goes 1 hour and I come back. How do I get that hour back?
So if a request has already been approved, the supervisor can reset it to pending and then you can adjust it, or you can put in the request. It wouldn't be approved yet until you come back and you could adjust it yourself. If it's something that you forgot to do, a supervisor can add, and they can edit what's already there. So there's many different ways to capture that. Just, without going into great detail, yes, there's many different ways to make sure that you have the correct time accounted for and to be paid for.
So department heads that report to the BOCC. Now I have to request time off for a sick day or what have you through this, but none of you are here. By policy, I can't take that time off until it's approved. If you guys aren't seeing that and approving it, who does? For some reason, you're not here.
Well, I think.
All three commissioners will have access.
Your payroll has to be approved, so is it approved?
I'm talking about sick or leave or.
It has to be approved like that day, if so you get it that day.
Not necessarily that day, but it would need to be approved by the end of the pay period. That would come.
So will we adjust our policies? Because our policy says it's required.
We have a whole
I
new
know,
policy system
I know.
coming.
I'm just asking the question. So.
Isn't it only annual leave that has to be pre-approved? I mean, you can't pre-approve sick leave
Right,
if you're
annual
sick.
leave, yeah, annual leave.
Yeah, okay.
If you have medical appointments.
Yeah, if you have something planned, you're right.
Yeah, so who approves the time cards if the supervisor's out?
We've set up workflow to have what we call secondaries. So think of them as backups. So we can put as many secondaries in place to make sure that your time and time off get approved.
So for the commissioner's office, Barb could essentially get a hold of one of us and get approval that way too.
Or Barb could be set up as a secondary approver.
Right.
And with your authority, she then goes in and just approves it.
It sounds like this could be wherever you are. If you have a cell phone, you can
Yeah, there's
approve
not for
it
that.
wherever you are. So it doesn't have to be in-house.
So all of these hours, when I saw the edit time, any day can be edited at any time. I mean, if I have to edit somebody's time and I can't, and it has to be edited on Monday and I can't get to Monday's time until Wednesday, I can still edit Monday's time on Wednesday. I can edit it anytime during the week. There's no like.
Yes, you can edit it all the way up until the payroll has been locked for processing.
Susie?
For exempt employees, signing in and out, like if you're choosing to maybe have a doctor appointment the last hour of your day, are you clocking out? I mean, and then it would be maybe 7 hours that day.
Correct.
Is that,
Okay, just clock out for the day.
But then you might work 10 hours the next day,
got you?
so you'll be clocking in and out.
So you want us recording all of our discretionary time?
All the time.
Oh, boy.
Is there a simple process for like multiple clock in, clock out in one day? Because like sometimes if I know I have a lot going on, I may get up at 5 a.m, work for 2 hours at home, come into the office, work, leave, go to a doctor's appointment, go home, finish a time-sensitive project. So then I'm in, out, in, out, in, out. That's a pretty regular thing.
It's a bit
How
of
do we, is that pretty simple or
It's
is it
very
like
simple.
in, out for lunch, in from lunch and out for the day?
Yeah, I have been doing it, and it's very simple to just have it logged on. It pops up on my screen when I open my computer, and I click the button, log in. I go to lunch, I click the button, log out. If I leave, if I'm at home, I can do it. It's very simple.
But it'll just let you in and out throughout the day. Okay.
There are no restrictions to clocking in and out, and then there'd be line items. And so you'd have 8 records, for example, all the times you punched in and out. And then it accumulates it, totals it for you, so you know how many hours were worked then.
I have another question. Let's say somebody punches in regularly 5 to 10 minutes longer than 8 hours every week. So we're going to be paying overtime for that person, or is it going to round it?
It's within 7 minutes before or after the hour.
So make sure it's 8.
So we're not going to have to
So
worry
what
about.
happens when we get obstinate employees?
They don't get paid if they don't log in and log.
No.
Clock out.
They've punched in that 5 minutes early and left 5 minutes late and they want their 10 minutes. What happens when we start getting these kind of complaints? Because it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
I'm just telling humans.
No, and I believe legally, if an employee is working beyond 40 hours, we have to pay our employees unless there's a policy set up. But typically, where I come from on the farm, if our employee works 40 and a half hours, 42, I mean, we pay that as an employer, and so I'm assuming the county would as well.
So
I
you
plan
just
on
said
honoring it,
no
just-
though to that within a 7-minute window.
Yeah, within 7 minutes.
So make sure you're 8 minutes, that's what I said.
And Shauna, can you confirm that that 7 minutes can be set longer, shorter?
So you have because you have the quarter hour rounding, you have 15 minutes. We have set it up to 7 before and 7 after. So you can change it, but you only have 15 minutes to, so it could be 15 minutes before and 0 after. It can be, 5 before. It just cannot total more than 15 minutes for the clocking in and out to round up or down.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So that 7 minutes is adjustable, up to 15.
So is it gonna be paid by the minute or by the quarter hour?
Quarter hour.
7 is 14.
You can use no more than 15, you can use less than 15. So you could update it to say 8 before and 7 after, or 7 before and 8 after.
Yep. But we could choose 15, we could choose 14, 13, 12, 11, 10.
15 and 0.
7 is standard.
I was just trying to make sure we weren't going to pay for every minute over, or if, I could see all of a sudden overtime hitting our budgets where it's never been there before. That's why I ask.
They track it.
By the hour?
By the half hour.
By the half hour. So if they're not clocking in more than half hour before, you won't be charged overtime. Because that's what.
But you have to be careful, there's RCWs out there that protect that time, right? And I think if they punch in 7 minutes before, because my previous employer did a lot of back pay on that.
Yeah.
Somebody complained,
Absolutely.
yeah, so, and I think it was 7 minutes was the cutoff, they couldn't punch in.
What I'm saying is our current
That
policy.
is correct.
allows
You're absolutely right. It's because I have a lot of experience in the same regard.
So it wasn't fun.
Can I ask a question? And I don't want this to come across the wrong way. I don't.
Anytime somebody says that,
I know it is, because I know it is. How did we select a time and attendance system where all of a sudden we're requiring everybody to clock in and clock out in this way? Did we have a fraud issue that we were trying to fix? Or did we have?
Yes.
We did.
I wouldn't call it fraud, but yes. I think the state auditors asked us to do time and attendance.
So there was a fraud issue at the county, or there was a fraud issue at the state? They just want all counties to operate this way.
Say it's local.
Yeah.
Without getting into.
So what if they forget to clock out several times during the week? Do you go back and edit it?
And then it becomes a conversation with the supervisor and the employee of setting that expectation. And holding them accountable to it.
So every employee will have access to the mobile.
Okay.
Does that mobile app only go on county cell phones?
Nope. Okay.
Hey, Decorah
Get pushback on that, yeah.
and Gina.
People free apps, everybody's like, no, I'm not doing that for the county. It's free.
Hi, Holly.
Lots of time and attendance places. School district does the same thing. And they're all on their own phones doing it, or their own computers.
So I'm doing what I should not be doing is I'm Googling this, but I thought we had to pay overtime. If it's 5 minutes overtime, that you're required to pay overtime, so.
I think we've always done 15 minutes.
Or is it 15 minutes?
Yeah.
But I think we need to be.
Kind of done in
So I
increments
think
and
there's probably more
quarters.
research we need to do. Somebody had a hand up. No, so did you have a hand? There was a hand over here somewhere. Oh, Susie, sorry.
At the risk of being quite complicated, our timesheets involve spreading our time out to many different types of work for different grants. Does this have the capability to split it out? So when someone signs in working in the domestic violence program, do they have to sign out to work in the sexual assault program?
No, I think it would, it's part of the workflow for that person. So it would be a code that we would get coded into the system, and they would, you know, if it's code A1 versus A2, then it would disseminate the time.
Can those codes be named like with the last three numbers of a budget number? Because it's going to be a huge effect on public works. So.
I
you know,
have like
so we-
12 grants. I charged my 8 hours, 2 in a day.
I mean, if at least it was all at like the last four of your budget line number or something, you could have that drop down, I'm assuming, and then just click on that.
It's worse than that, Tom. We have to report to WashDOT and CROW, cap and non-cap for chip sealing. They take a right on 9 Northwest, all of a sudden it went from cap to non-cap. We don't stop the process. We don't do any of that. At the end of the day, they put on their time cards how much time to each one of those, because we're required to report both. Same with crack filling, all this stuff. It's unreasonable for us to ask 40 employees to stop and log or punch out of cap and punch into cap, go 2 miles and then do the same thing in reverse.
It's gonna get. We can't.
Hey,
do
can't that be entered at the end of the day, just like they do anything else?
But they're still having to at least stop somewhere and say, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this.
But they write it
But
down.
you're doing it anyway, right?
Yeah,
So,
they're doing it anyway, so then they just gotta enter it. Yeah.
Would they just manually enter it at the end of the day?
Yeah.
See, we brought an example of a time card, so I think for us, we would use that for the full day for leave. We would still have to keep track of it at the end of the day this way. But I think for full days and leave and days off, I don't know, doesn't sound too bad, but.
It'll be an adjustment for everyone, I'm sure.
It
probably really does a whole lot.
3 different funds. So.
And Holly, did you have a question?
You can, I don't want to interrupt. So is this an okay time to ask? There's a question in the chat. Keith brought up a good question about, if he's in one location and he clocks in and he travels to another location and needs to clock out. I just wanted to confirm, and I think you already answered this question a few minutes ago, that you can do this on your phone. So you don't have to be in the same place or on a desktop. You can do that from your phone. But I know you already did that, but I wanted to acknowledge that Keith had put a question in the chat.
Thanks, Holly.
I have a question about standby time. We have rotating standby in one of our departments. And then in addition to that, if there's a call out during that standby time, then they get 2 hours pay in addition to the 3 hours standby time. How will that work? Since it's on a rotating basis, it's not the same people every weekend, and how is?
Would that just be manually entered?
We're not quite there on implementation, so any feedback that you can provide us on how you're doing it now, we can get it.
Yeah, if they're on standby, they would clock in, and then if then they would probably just have to, I'm guessing, but I mean, just based on other things I've heard. But you would think that they could adjust it or add it if they've been called out.
But see, they get 3 hours standby time, but they're actually on call for
The whole
3
hours
weekend.
per day for the time they're on call.
But
So
then they might get 3 calls during the day, and they get 2 hours pay for each call
if they're different.
if they're different calls.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to interrupt for a quick second. I just want to put a reminder out to please not use the chat function on Zoom. It opens up a public records request door that we do not want to open.
I thought it was turned off.
Thank you, Caitlin.
How it's done now is when they have their calls, then I'll verify that either the calls were separate incidences, or if they were related incidents, then we pile the time together. So you'll just have to watch it really, really carefully. I don't know.
So we have.
You're reviewing that, and then you're manually entering it into.
So what we have is every time, so we have a 3 hour slip for standby time, and then they have a slip for every time they have call, yeah.
And then you're using those slips to then enter that time into.
And yes, yes. And some of that time counts for longevity and some of it does not count for longevity. Yeah.
Not the first department, like there's multiple people stand by mail.
Okay, I had another follow-up question. Oh, when people are working in your guys' instance, I'm assuming it's TS, are they working at home?
Or wherever they happen to be is one.
Sometimes they have to come in, sometimes.
Preferred that they are in the county.
But like, if I was a tech and I was on standby and I got a call, I could theoretically be at my house
Yep.
doing the work.
Typically, that's what they do.
If I was on standby, I could be on standby at the county in my office.
Not typically, no. If they're on standby, they're doing their normal weekend stuff. If they get the call, they take the call. If they can't resolve it remotely, then they'll come in and take care of it here.
But then if,
It's really more on-call status.
yeah, but they come in and they fix this pen and then they go back and they get another call and they have to come in to fix these glasses, 2 different calls. But if they had to come back second time to fix that pen.
So fix the same pen again, it's just part of that same first call.
Same call, so.
And that's how TS is there.
Yep. And we can discuss this on the side and I will fill you in on all the details.
It just depends. It just depends. He might be able to do it remotely. He might have to come in and.
I just
We'll
wasn't
work 7
picturing
days a
what it
week
would
here,
look
so.
like on that.
And I don't
Wasn't-
know that we've gotten there yet, and what we've talked about is pretty standard, just a regular modified schedule, standard schedule. So those are things that Shauna, who's listening, will help us troubleshoot and go through, because, and I was asking, TS has that process, but then like Works has a different process, and the sheriff's office is a different process, and everybody's doing the same thing but different. So we're gonna have to look at that.
In addition to that, the hour part where you get called back in, we do that as well, but we also have a stipend. So will there be a place to add the on-call stipend in there?
I know there's a place from the pay codes to add, it's $50 a day, right? Yeah, I remember that.
Something
A
to
little
consider.
different, yeah, everyone has something a little bit different, yeah. Because I know we have a place for stipends, and we're creating the on-call stipend, but we're still trying to envision what that's gonna look like.
Okay, thank you.
So then, currently entering all the time is entered in GP, like for us, if Vanessa does it, she won't have to touch it anymore. It's all gonna be entered in by the employee. Supervisors are gonna review, approve, and that's that. And then a report comes back.
That's the theory.
Unless he does.
Well played.
That sounds like the promise.
So the workflow ends with the supervisor, because then it's submitted to payroll, or does it go like to our internal payroll person first? Okay.
Supervisor, internal, and then.
If somebody's gonna be working up the timesheet, Kim's office, it'll be Cheryl, who's, getting leave slips and talking to staff, and I missed a punch, so Cheryl, I'm gonna email her and say, can you add my lunch punch? That sounded funny. She's gonna do that, before the end of the pay period, and then I can then submit my timesheet. So the theory is that there will be a first approver, whoever's in your department to do the payroll, and they'll work it up for department heads, elected officials. The elected official then will look at it, kind of what you're doing now is just gonna be digitized, and then it'll be approved for payroll, who then will pay.
So
Can
are
I
we
get clarification on the exempt then? Technically, if you're exempt, you don't get paid overtime. But now they're clocking in and clocking out, so if they're working weekends, are they now being paid for overtime? So you.
It's an accounting of true worked hours.
The what?
It's an accounting of hours, not a payment of hours.
Okay,
you'll still
so if they
get
work a
your-
60-hour week, they're still gonna get the same salary. So I want, okay.
But then you'll be able to prove that you were working 60 hours.
The what?
You'll be able to show that you were working 60 hours.
And then what?
4:30,
10. Well, and I will say that we had an employee that was working more than 60 hours a week, and when it was brought to the commissioner's attention, it's like, well, obviously, if this is a consistent pattern, let's look at this and get help, because this is not sustainable. If it's here or there, sometimes you'll have an ebb and flow where you'll get 60 hours and then maybe 30 hours, as exempt employees, you can leave a little bit early. You have a little more flexibility, and there still will be flexibility. It's just we can accurately account for it. And I think it's just something that has to be done so that all of the hours are entered in. And that's how we get paid. So it's just a process that it's going to be a little painful at first. And I have a feeling there's a lot of people that don't want to do this, but I do believe the elected officials are also on that as well. So it's not just, it's everybody.
Leave without pay. Those are gonna have to be
Two
entered
things for me.
into.
We do have a hand raised, and I just want to express really quick that panelists are allowed to chat within the system. We can't block that. So Pepper has her hand raised and she would like to. Pepper, you should be able to unmute yourself with your system.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hello, everybody. I'm just worried about job cost entries and things. We have several grants where we bill out for staff salary and benefits based on percentages of their time. Staff do not necessarily know when their activities are billable to which grant, and they wouldn't be able to allocate their time to a cost. Many staff are split out to several grants. So I guess my question is, can staff enter their hours and we as admin on the back end split it by the percentages?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that was a good answer. Thank you.
There were a couple nods. I don't know if you can see the nods, but yes, there were a couple nods here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Did I hear you say we're going to keep the leave slips?
No, sorry. I just
Okay.
said as an example.
Okay, okay. That's why I was clarifying. Okay.
So for an example, people are currently doing that, like you're the payroll person, so you collect those leave slips. It's the same concept. You're still gonna be working up the timesheet. Yeah.
Just digitally.
Sorry.
One more please. For the non-exempt, if you get in the middle of something and you forget to take your break, I mean, are we having to record our break time too?
No, not your break time, not the 15-minute.
No break time, okay,
those are
good, so we
paid
don't have to
breaks.
do our
Yeah.
15-minute breaks.
Yeah,
and
no,
then-
those are paid breaks.
Okay, good.
You're good.
Good.
I just had a quick question. It might seem maybe, but lots of us that are exempt answer our phones at home. Is there a minimum time spent that you guys have an expectation to enter that in the system? Or is there like, if every phone call you answer, you go, okay, yep, that was 3 minutes, or if it's over 7 minutes, do we enter? Is there some sort of expectation around that?
It's a good question.
Yeah,
It
that's a
is.
really good question.
If it happens.
I think we will have that dialogue going forward with what that expectation is. I know I take calls after hours, and I would probably lump it in all together. Like tonight I had a 2-minute phone call versus a Saturday, and I may have had 3, and it ended up being an hour total, so.
Yeah, it's easy to do right now because,
Yeah.
but
But you can add it in. Right
yeah.
there. So just, I added it to my list.
And then let's say, you referencing the person that worked 60 hours one week, and the next week they worked 38. Did they only get paid 38 the previous week, or it's?
For exempt workers specifically, are you asking? Exempt?
Yes.
No, they get paid there, but they get. Even if they work.
Exempt is exempt.
Yes, exempt, yeah. In terms of pay. The tracking hours is independent, it's just accounting of those out.
Okay.
I have a quick question about the overtime and the 7 minutes that you're talking about. As far as I know, overtime has to be pre-authorized. Employees can't. So if an employee is consistently clicking in too early, the expectation that they're going to get overtime, I don't think they should be expecting that because it wasn't pre-approved. Am I not thinking that appropriately?
I'm gonna just say there probably needs to be some legal input on this. So I would love to answer it, but
Yes, the theory is correct that if I wanted to work until 6 and I'm an hourly employee, I would have to request from Decorah that I work until 6. I can't just freely say, I'm just gonna work an extra 2 hours.
So the theory is that yes, if you're gonna be working overtime, which is a conversation I had with Kim, I believe, about if somebody, let's say they change their schedule for Wednesdays because they needed to ride the bus, then the clerk's office has the ability, the scheduler has the ability to go in and change that time schedule for that day. It doesn't accrue overtime. The same thing is true if she's working on a project. She needs somebody to work 9 hours that day. The system does allow for that. And so there's a lot of exceptions that can be made with the system to allow for all of the kind of one-off things that happen on a regular basis. So yes, Barb, that theory is correct.
You have a lot of great employees who come in early all the time and they just, now they're gonna get that paid for that.
And I can expand on that. So coming from that environment, what's gonna happen is at if I clocked in at 7 minutes early, it's gonna automatically default to the next hour. So there's not gonna be any overtime accrued. If I clock in 8 minutes early, that's when the 15 minutes is going to hit. And so you as the supervisor, if you're watching the electronic time clock, when it hits the end of that week, you can then say, hey, you have amassed a half hour, why don't you knock off a half hour early? If you're keeping track.
Right. And that's what we're trying to do, right, is track the number of hours in a day. So as long as somebody's getting their 8 hours in a day, it doesn't matter if the normal workday is 8 to 5, but for 1 week, because they had extracurricular stuff going on, they wanted to start at 6, then they could work 6 to 3, no harm, no foul, right?
Can I ask just how many staff you had to monitor timesheets for?
240.
Just a few, and you did it, and it worked.
Right.
Okay, Joe has a question right here. Thank you,
So
Jim, for your-
we have a standing order in TS for the last decade. If you get called after hours, whether it's me or any of our hourly people, you take the call, you're going to get paid overtime. It's pre-approved for me. I've never had to question anyone about it. I get the slip. What was the call? This, all right, cool, done, and it's signed and away we go. So
It's always verifiable.
I'm just
And
going to
your
continue to do that. I'm just telling you.
And your office is a little bit different.
Okay.
We had that conversation a little bit earlier about how all the offices are doing the same thing, but doing it in a different way.
Right.
So your office is doing approved overtime, it's just in a different way.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm not stepping out of line, because I'm going to step out of line.
Careful, Joe.
I will let you, Joe. We need our viewers.
I wanted to follow up on something that Michelle said earlier about FMLA and other types of leave. So this system also allows for that. I believe people are using leave slips right now to account for their FMLA hours. That would transition to Tyler. It would be a code, like Decorah was explaining earlier, that people could allocate that to. In my experience, HR did the FMLA updates on timesheets. However, that's a broader discussion. It would be up to each office as payroll person to make sure that people who are on FMLA had their employees' timesheets updated accordingly. And so again, just putting it out there that is something that the system can handle, will be on the office. As of now, I think will change the current process, but a topic of discussion probably.
Super important one for DRS, because we have that issue now. We set up codes and I don't believe everybody's using them. So then we're getting all these DRS requests. We have no idea why they're short hours. So then it's just a incredibly hard thing to try to figure out without having the correct codes in.
So people currently aren't entering the correct codes into GP for FMLA and other leave?
Yeah, I don't think that everybody's been using like leave without pay or not consistently. And so we have these gaps. When we go to look at people, it's like a lot. Yeah. Unless it's written on a timesheet somewhere, which it usually isn't either.
Sure.
It's really hard for us to figure out what happened. We just have to say, and DRS doesn't like it. The answer is like, we just don't know what happened.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Tyler cleans that up a little. Great question so far. Great discussion. Anything else?
How many people can be set up to be administrators or time card approvers or whatever you want to call it? We have, you know,
Anybody and everybody and anybody.
Yeah, it's endless.
So Jim, I just want to ask you, since you dealt with this with 200 and so on people, did you feel like it was easier or was more of
It's-
a burden?
This is going to be incredibly beneficial. I mean, I can't explain how beneficial it's going to be as a tool for management. I mean, it can be used as a weapon if you choose to use it as a weapon, or it can be used as a tool. And if you all embrace it as a benefit, as a tool, it will make your life so easy. I can't wait. I can't wait. And, you know, my office is 100% manual, and the amount of time that my 2 payroll people spend in trying to reconcile and run payroll, I can't wait to get the time back. And then for myself, you know, just being able to lay this information in front of our employees so that they can be held self-accountable for their time is going to be invaluable. But you have to be dedicated. It takes a lot of dedication on your part, and building that routine to go in and manage the time, approve the time, and really, you know, it's the thing that everybody needs to keep in mind is that we all have an expectation that we work very, very hard, and I know it's very hard for us to sit here and hear that our time needs to be accounted for as well when we all get paid the same. But regardless of the time that we work, what I just heard is, you know, is somebody describes my exact week where I clock in, I clock out, and at the end of the week I've worked 70 hours. We've all been there. I want for the public record somebody to see that I work 70 hours. You know, that I want credit for it. I'm being paid for 40, but I want credit for 70. But what I also want is I have an expectation that when I drop a leave slip, that it be approved right away with no questions, right? Well, so do our employees. And so how often, and I'm guilty of the same thing, does a leave slip sit in my in basket for a couple of days while somebody is waiting? You know, is it going to be approved? Can I buy those tickets? Whereas if you guys build the routine where you can go in there and approve it immediately, which is why the very first question that I asked is, can I see my entire department on one calendar so that I can plan for and not just arbitrarily, you know, be signing leave slips and then kick myself because I now have 2 people out when I don't have any coverage. This, I'm telling you, is going to be 100% a game changer for everybody. But it's going to have some road bumps, and yeah, there's going to be manual entry and everybody does it differently. But if it's embraced, it'll really get you some time back.
Lots
So
of other entities do it.
everybody does
It's
it.
just that we haven't. So
Exactly.
it's a learning curve for everybody. It's something brand new that they're not used to doing.
For the record, I did not know Jim previously did this, so thank you, Jim. We didn't pay him to say this. It just it's a blessing.
But if you wanted to, it'd be.
And sorry, and
Along with those extra
yeah, so
20 hours.
yeah, and that was a sales pitch for Kronos. Sorry, Tyler.
See, I used Old Time Pro, which is a competitor.
Yeah.
And I love Old Time Pro. Oh, yes.
So will the supervisors get an email when someone puts a request in, or does the supervisor just have to go and look and see if there's requests?
Can you confirm, Shauna?
They get emails, and there's also on the dashboard. So you will receive an email, and on your dashboard here, it will immediately tell you if you have time cards approval or time off waiting for you.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin?
So we have a whole palette full of these time clocks. Why do we need time clocks if we can go in on our phones, punch in, and go to our computers and log in?
Heaven, some people don't like digital. I don't know.
I'm trying to get out of it.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yep,
Your
they
badge,
said
you
that's
just
how-
go walk by and.
Can Tyler interface with Linnell? Yeah.
That's these badges. That's these badges.
I don't think it would be Linnell. I think it would just be, our cards just need to match the clock.
Okay, we've got a pallet full of clocks, so I hope they match.
No, that's what I'm saying is like, I don't think it's a Linnell connection. I think it has to do more with the badge. And if the badge is compatible with the clock, then yeah.
And it is, and that's been tested already.
Well, that was a great answer.
Yeah, that was good.
But we're trying to get away from the clock, right? So you gotta run power and network and.
So Kevin, you're wanting to return the clocks, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, it's not a matter of just, sticky taping them to the wall. We gotta have a circuit, we gotta have, we gotta have data.
Somebody's gotta maintain them.
Need to know what
It's
kind
not
of.
even, it's not so much about maintaining it, as the infrastructure just to put them somewhere in the first place.
They don't just like,
And where they're all going.
hardwired.
Well, some of the, if they're going in road district shops,
Yeah.
this is gonna be an issue.
Are they wired? Are they PoE? Are they wireless? Are they?
I can
AC
address that.
powered?
Don't know. Got a
I can
pallet-
answer that question.
He has the answer.
Oh, okay.
All right. The clocks are both PoE and they do come with their own power bricks. So in locations where they do have network access, but there is not a PoE switch, they can be powered by their own bricks. Or otherwise they can be, it's just standard PoE, Joe. There's one
But
currently.
powered with their own bricks, we just gotta find a spot for them to plug in.
Exactly.
It's not a.
And they come with their own mounting bracket and
No.
yeah.
Well, if they can be put in convenient places where Kevin doesn't have to put them next to a door where we're trying to
How
run.
many of them will fit in a power strip, Jim?
Show me one.
Felicity sent off a couple of the a couple of our ID badges, the ones that I think there's 3 in total from between Renew, the sheriff's office, and the rest of the county that are in use, and all 3 of them work with this system.
And the sheriff's ones should be going away, right?
The sheriffs are ours. So
Yeah.
That's right. It was 2 that we ended up, we thought it was 3 originally, but then we went sheriff's.
They used to have a different one, but we
But
kind of.
yes, we sent them, both of them.
When I used to have to clock in and out, I preferred to do it at my computer. So I'd get there early, I'd put my stuff away, I'd go get water, I'd log in, clock in, and start work. Many of my coworkers liked to just walk by the time clock in that way. And so it really is an employee preference. As an employer, we want to be able to have all of the options available to staff. If we say you have to have a mobile app, that's a little.
No, please say that.
They have these.
No, absolutely say that because it gives me a lever for something else that you're all gonna hate too.
They have these really cool keyboards that these cards just slide into. And when they slide in, you automatically log on to the network. When you pull it out, it automatically locks. We just need funding.
Funding for some new keyboards.
Those badge readers were not inexpensive.
They were not, but they are highly secure.
Yes.
Highly secure.
Kevin, was there
Any other
just
questions?
one per department on this palette of these things, or were there multiples?
I don't
They
know.
asked us how many we wanted.
They did.
So.
We would need to get a plan from somebody though. on where they're going
Powerful.
And what they're gonna, if we can start working on that, because we'd love to get the room back in our shop, I'm sure. And if we knew where they were supposed to be installed, we could start.
Oh, you mean which office?
And where in the office.
Well, I would think that you would have to say that as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, somebody has to say where, I mean, Michelle might say, I want it right here, and then we would look and say, yeah, that fits great. But it might not, it just depends, so.
So Felicity says that there is a list.
Upstairs because we have the 2, 1 or 2 on that list.
I direct that list to make sure that that's still accurate placement.
Got more hands. Now we got more hands.
Kim?
If you get set list.
Does the employee have the ability to choose whether they want overtime or comp time? If they're due in overtime?
That's usually up to the department head or elected official.
In her case, it's her CDA, which I believe that's not.
So they can, the employee will enter that when they clock out, I guess.
I don't know exactly how it works. She's like, when they clock in and it's over 40 hours, how do they decide they want to put in a comp then?
If
Overtime, yeah.
So
I think last time we met, Shauna, we talked about setting up a comp time bank. Can you speak to that?
and just to follow on to that, for departments that don't allow comp time, is there a way just to turn that off so they don't have that selection?
So we can set up to where they could manually request the comp time. We can set it up in the policy to automatically default to overtime and convert to comp, or automatically default to comp and convert to overtime. Otherwise, it can just be a request, like possibly an hour's request to have that time. So there's multiple different ways we could address that.
So if the department or office's policy is 40 hours of comp time and an employee has reached that 40 hours of comp time, would it allow them to surpass that limitation?
There's a setting.
Asking for a friend.
Tell your friend that we can set up a limit, and what it does is it shows a red violation. So it shows the employee you're at your bank. It shows the supervisor. It shows payroll. So it doesn't physically stop them, but it shows this red, hey, you're exceeding. But it doesn't put a hard stop on it, but it has lots of warning signs and bells and whistles.
We've got about 5 minutes. There's another hand up here.
It was me. I was just curious if other methods of logging in could be added. I don't have one of those cards that he has for logging in. We have our own hokey little fob that gives us access into our building.
You say your badge is different than the courthouse badge?
We could test out
We
the
don't have that little
keyboards.
Badge. I
We
have
just have this.
a badge with a QR code on the back of it.
Oh, he had something different.
He had something
Well,
different.
so for us to work the Linnell readers, it's a different card than what they have. So
But the
this
QR
card is
code
different from
works?
this card is different from that card.
I only have one card.
Yeah.
My guess is that
This will work.
that would work.
Okay.
And if you would
Because
get
this
it
has
on-
an RFID chip in it. That
If it
does not.
doesn't, it's easy enough to produce another card.
But if we had the keyboard, it would work everywhere.
Okay, we've got about 4
Never
more
mind.
minutes because we've got a
If
4
it reads a
o'clock
QR
meeting.
code, I think you're just.
Are there any other
Keep selling
questions?
it.
Can offices choose to limit the options for clocking in and out? So say, could my office choose to not allow the app for clocking in and out? So that we don't have that person who pulled in at 8 o'clock, clocks in from their phone and then sneaks in the back door?
I'm assuming each office and department will have the flexibility to. Yeah, I don't think we're trying to control how there's a plethora of options to clock in and out, whatever works best for you, whether it's overtime, comp time, no overtime. I just think it's something that we have to roll out, and we're gonna try to make it as painless as possible, and just, letting you know that it's here, and great questions, because I have a list of things that.
Does the report show the supervisor that they clocked in on the mobile app, on their computer, or on the clock on the wall?
Part of the audit trail.
It shows an IP address, and if you have the mobile app, we can set up geofencing so it can tag where they clock in and out.
How tight is the geofencing?
Yeah.
So you can either have it wide open so you just see where they clock in and out. You can set a warning that says, hey, you're not within the fence and we know this, but go ahead and clock in or out. Or you may not clock in and out because you are not within the fence. So you have multiple options.
I guess we're gonna find out how tight that fence is. No, I'm talking like 3rd floor of the courthouse, like walking into the clerk's office, literally. I mean, if they're talking that,
Well, then it's a secret until you go to clock in.
if it's like sub-meter, like standard GPS, then it's possible.
It relies off the GPS of the phone, Joe, so it's going to be within a 30-meter accuracy. Generally better than that, but it can be within 30 meters.
we're gonna get tasked with this at some point.
It's gonna be turning into maze. Okay, are there any other questions or comments?
See.
Okay, it is 3:58. We are in recess.
I want to thank Shauna and Holly for taking the time to join us today. And I want to thank all of you for your engagement, for your questions. If you think of anything else, please send it to myself, Gina, or Felicity, and we'll do our best to get answers for you.
One quick question, when is this being implemented?
January 2026.
So we're
We're
gonna.
starting the discussion early.
Yes. We have
Plenty of time for paper cuts between now and then.
Maybe between now and then we can get the keyboards.
Okay, it is 3:59. We are in recess until 4
Then we'll have a
o'clock.
lot of,
We meet with our Grant County.
It's 100.
Yeah. Good afternoon, it is 4:03. We are here in the Commissioners' hearing room with the Grant County.
sit over there.
For a Grant County animal rescue discussion. So welcome.
Hi, thank you.
How are you doing?
Good. Just came from my office. I think there's a couple, well, Jessica from the Quincy Shelter and Kaya from Adams County. Animal rescue. And then I thought that Sindel and Sarah from Grant County. Oh, there's Sarah right there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's Sarah.
We literally just transitioned one meeting out.
Yeah, we just filed it, so.
You're totally fine. We're just trying to, we will be down to one commissioner at 4:30, so I just want to let you know that.
Okay.
Sarah.
So we just have two.
Here, do you
We
want
have
to
two.
do? No,
I
you're
believe
fine.
Commissioner Joe's is not, he is out today.
Okay.
He didn't, sometimes I call him, but he is not called in.
Hi, sir. And I'll be here till 4:30, so.
Okay. We'll go really fast. As fast as I can. And then who else was it? And Sybil's on her way.
Yes.
And,
I'm surprised.
anyway, we have enough to get started. It's not, no news to you guys that we are out there, advocating for the animals in Grant County. I think the big frustration is we don't feel like we are being supported. We're working our best to assist the shelters and the other rescues. And I will tell you that a year ago, Rob Jones said to me something that resonated. Why aren't you guys working together? Why aren't all you guys working together? Why does it appear that there is animosity and angst? And I just went away from that thinking, he's right. We've got to figure something out. He thought we should all be cross-boarding, but I don't think that's the answer. I just reached out to the rescues and said, or the shelters, and said, how can we help? How can we be here for you to facilitate either moving animals, or, helping you financially? Not that we are financially, but we've been doing that. And I think we've been doing a great job cohesively bringing everybody together to make this work. And last year, I think we had, I'm just going to share with you because this is part of why I'm here. Last year, we did an immunization clinic. We had Grant County Animal Outreach there. We had the Quincy Shelter there. We had a nonprofit Lost and Found Pets there. And who else did we have there? We had a vet, only one vet. Our other vet that we were relying on dropped his license. He's retired, but he dropped his license, so we couldn't use him. It was amazing. We did over 155 dogs we immunized, 69 cats, and I think you guys chipped a whole bunch of dogs and cats, maybe mostly dogs. But we had 3 rescues and 2 shelters involved. So I don't think you guys, but you guys had something else going on.
We did.
You had a clinic, spay neuter clinic going on, but we had Grant County Animal Outreach and the Quincy Shelter. We want to do that again. We want that to be an annual event. But it cost us, our rescue ended up footing the bill for it because we thought we had a grant coming from the Columbia Basin Foundation, and that fell through. So we ended up footing the $4,900 for that. Pioneer, thank heavens, we got to a point where Pioneer said, let us order the immunizations, they have to do rabies anyway. So they let us pay payments, thank God. because we are paying down an $11,000 parvo vet bill right now. But they let us pay payments. I think they got to do that with you guys too. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do this.
How are you funded?
Pardon?
How are you funded?
We are funded from donations. We are our adoptions. I just pulled the January statement. We had $10,000, $10,800 in our checking account. That's not including we have a PayPal account and a Venmo account. But we had $14,000 come in deposits and credits from adoptions and contributions. We had $20,300 go out for vet bills mostly, spay neuters. You know, it costs us $340 to $380 for a spay, and we get $40 or $400 for an adoption. So those don't make anything for us, but our puppies, we adopt out with a contract. So we literally net $225, and then they have to put a $200 refundable deposit, which we try and keep separate from our funds. They get that back when they give us the spay certificate or neuter when it's due. So those are easy. We do make money on that. But otherwise, I mean, sometimes we have a little bit of a cushion because we'll have gotten some contributions. Like I think with Jessica, they had a dog that had to have the leg removed. And we were like, we'll help. You know, what can we do to help? So we paid $1,000 of that bill for them, but they ended up paying $1,200, you know, because but we just got a contract established with Blue Mountain Humane and as a volume large client. And we just had a dog taken down there. It cost us $550 to have her leg removed versus $2,200 at Pioneer.
But you had to take a full day off of work.
I went and worked in an office. There was an Edward Jones office down there. So I spent the day 3 or 4 hours working in that office, you know, for those that know Hank Borden, worked in Hank's office and made it work. And we took 2 other dogs and they were done for under $200. And we adopted them out for $400.
Where's the Blue Mountain Humane?
In Walla Walla.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and they'll work with us on. I mean, their prices are so reasonable. We just have to put together volume. I know Kaya, you guys used to, but it's one person a whole day down there. Now I'll be able to help do that more often because I'm retiring from Edward Jones. But you know, I have to still stay in tune with the branch for 2 years. But I don't have to. I'm not in there. You know, I have 2 people replacing me, so I'll be able to do those transports and go shopping, do whatever, sleep in my car. So we'll be able to do that. So we're going to utilize Blue Mountain because it's no different than going to PHP or over to Linwood. I mean, we go to wherever we can. So, but I'm asking for help in annually doing this immunization clinic because we have a $12,000 parvo vet bill that we're paying on 8 husky pups found over in a homeless encampment at Cougar Camp. And we were going to euthanize them all. You know, they're 8, 9 week old because that was the most inexpensive way. When you hold these puppies and they're wagging their tails and the only one tested positive at first and then bing, bang, you know, each day they all started popping up. And with the monoclonal antibodies that is now available, you know, it doesn't cost thousands of dollars per dog anymore. The monoclonal is, you know, about $300, maybe a little bit more than $300 now per vial. And the pups were 20 pounds, so they took 2 vials and they outpatient them. You get them in there, they give them the monoclonal and they send them back to us. And we found a foster that would quarantine them for us. So we couldn't immunize or euthanize them. We just didn't have the heart to do that. So we saved all 8 of them. They went to different, I think we adopted 2.
We sent 2 to Seattle.
They sent 2. After they went through their 10-day quarantine, we tested them negative and then they got their booster. We farmed them out as whoever would take them. But yeah, 2 went to Seattle. I think Whidbey Island took quite a few. And but we did adopt a couple of them out, but nothing touched that bill, you know, that was there. And then shortly thereafter, we had another dog come through with it. And I quarantined that in my garage for the 10 days. And we lost one of those. So 2 of those went in and we lost the first one. It was just, he had waited too long. And the second one that didn't show any symptoms, she tested positive and they monoclonaled her and kept her for 2 days. And then I brought her back to my garage and quarantined her. And then she went down we've got a new relationship with a shelter down in Longview, which is a long commute. We have to take them to Tacoma and they come up and meet us there. But we try to make it worth our while and get them 4 or 5 pups or dogs. And so we don't collect anything on a lot of those. We just get them, we save them and get them out. But the immunization clinic is so important because we had lines out the building and down. I think even the fairgrounds people were surprised. and how many people showed up. It got so hot that we had to move people inside. And you guys gave us the building and that was great, but we're asking for funds so that we can run this. We cannot afford.
Okay, so there was a request just recently, so it has not happened, so this is an immunization that's gonna happen shortly.
We don't have it planned. We want to do June or July.
Okay.
We have not made any formal requests from
And
us.
what are you looking for, 12,000?
No, we just need the cost of it, which is
Take
about
it.
40, yeah. Yeah, we do.
We can use it. I was like, I just want to make.
No, we want about, just under 5,000, so $5,000, that would cover us for getting some flyers up and whatnot. But if we
Yeah,
can.
you should have done the 12, it sounded.
I know,
better.
but wait a minute. Lori, can you take over?
Oh, wait, yeah, I think I'm right down.
No, so we pay that directly, that can go directly to Pioneer or to us,
Okay.
Whatever, Pioneer has got to where they will order, and then they just charge us for what they use. So they ordered extra and they took all the rest, and we have kept it refrigerated, and we have a refrigeration that he has right out by him, Dr. Meyer does. And I think Sindel said that she thought she could get some vets from WSU to come up and help, so we don't have it was just awful. People waited 3 hours to get their pets immunized.
And they were senior citizens on fixed income,
Okay.
unhoused people.
Yeah, we had a lot of homeless people.
But did you bring them in? Were you able to bring them
We got
inside?
them all inside.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, somebody that was, I delegated all of that out. I was just there. But somebody was in charge of, getting them in and getting them in lines, getting the seat. We would move the vets to the very back next time. We had it laid out. We had all the free items. So we have a storage unit full of food that we want at this next immunization. Food that we make a weekly trip over to the west side, and Positive Alliance sends us back with tons of food. We bring some to you guys. We got 2 pallets of cat wet food from Champion Pet Foods last year. They asked me how many pallets I wanted. I was like, I don't know what they delivered right when we got back from South Africa. 2 big pallets got delivered to my garage. And so I quickly got them out. I took them to the shelters, and I'm not sure if you got any, Kai, but I get them out to the rescues first. And then we still have some in there. And I think I sent at least 75 cases to the Greater Good, the big fix they had up in Okanagan. Jill Cervais asked me if they could have some of that cat food, and I sent a bunch up there too. So and then we took some to Mattawa, that's right. We went to Mattawa just a couple months ago with 1 whole unit full of food and cat trees, litter boxes, toys that we had gotten from Positive Alliance. Christmas toys galore. We had probably 10 tubs of boxes. And by 9 o'clock it started. By 10 o'clock, almost all the food was gone. And some contractor down there building houses brought 5 bags of each dog food and cat food to donate to that too, which was kind of cool. He showed up that morning. And by 11, almost all the toys and all that stuff were gone. We left harnesses and leashes, some brand new, some used. They said they let us come into City Hall down there and do it because it was the last day for the licensing that they had down there. So that was awesome. We got that, and they loved it. They were very appreciative. I think it's an under-serviced area, for animals. And so we have this storage unit. We thought about going down to Royal City, but Sherry said, hey, if we can get this immunization clinic, let's put it there. And then people can take what they want because last year we had tons of boxes of clothing, leashes, harnesses, whatever else not out back there in the back for people to go through. And they were just done, like, it's for free. Take what you need.
So do you anticipate for the $5,000, do you anticipate more animals this year? So 5,000 may not be enough?
No, they took back, it was a little more than that. We had some, no, because we had $2,500 that was, we did use our $2,500 that we got from the Columbia Basin Foundation, didn't we?
I think so. So I would plan on it costing more if we do it again.
Yeah, so we do.
Because we'll have more people.
We used our 2,500, but Dave, when we asked for that this year, which we did get that's coming our way to go towards our Parvo bill. So yeah, closer to 7 would probably be better. They take back whatever they didn't use, but we got charged for just under $4,900 last year. And so if we can get that and make that an annual event, I think it's so important. Next year, it could be different because well, no, that's not true. So one of my next things is the Greater Good Charities. And I don't know if you guys heard of Okanagan County. They did 2 big fixes last year, and they're doing another one this summer. And Jill Cervantes is in charge of that, and I have not been up to it. Did anybody here go? You went up to it? Amazing. They did in 4 days 1,000 pets for free, spay neuters, up in Okanagan County. Now they did that in relation to the proximity to the Indian reservation, because the Indian reservation is kicking in money for that. But it cost them $100,000 to do that event. They were asked, Jill's group, the tour, to contribute 40, plus another 12 for lodging and food. So for $52,000, they did up in Okanagan County 1,000 pets twice last year. So 2,000 pets total. And still there were lines. Now the policy for the Greater Good is they cannot deny anybody. They could come from Seattle to Okanagan, and they can't deny anybody entrance, but they had lines starting at 3 a.m. at the fairgrounds in Okanagan County. So I asked, Sherry and I had an hour Zoom call with them, and we asked them to consider Moses Lake and the fairgrounds to come here to do that because of our centralized location. And they like that. They like that they'd be drawing, but they've got to have input from the Indian reservations, which we have bordering, Grant County. And Yakima is another area they're looking at going to because the tribes will kick in money for those. But I said, well, let me go and ask our commissioners, because they have no more room on the calendar for this year. We can't do it for 2025. But my goal is for 2020.
Or the greater.
The Greater Good, the big, they call it the Big Fix.
Okay, the Big Fix.
The Big Fix. But I think it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, this year. Last year they had to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday because the Okanagan would not give them the fair buildings on Saturday. This year they asked for Saturday. They need it on Saturday for people who don't work. And so they're redoing it. So it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, which is what we would want here, a Saturday. And they come in with all the equipment, everything. They do want volunteers. We would be in charge of volunteers, and we would be in charge of, trying to line up hotels and the food. Jill had it contracted out with the food, which, and she's going to help if we can get it here. If we can convince them that we've got funding for this much, will you please put us on the calendar for next year? Right now we're vying with Yakima, but I don't think we should be in competition. I think we should do it in coordination and have them do one and us do one. We're still going to have tons of animals that are going to make it into those things. And how else, other than somebody mentioned euthanization, Andrea down in Kennewick at Mikey's Chance said, I only see euthanization as a way out of this crisis. And I said, can we really euthanize humans? That's where I'm at, and she had to chuckle on that one. But if we can start getting ahead we don't have a low-cost spay neuter clinic anywhere near here, 2 hours, the soonest. Not that that's, our fault, but we have a crisis on our hands. We have a community of people. I just spoke to a man who we've helped out a lot down in Mattawa, who absolutely is having a fit for me to be pressuring him to neuter his dogs. Doesn't want to. No, I'm not going to hurt them like that. That's crazy. I'm like, you will have a different dog. You will have a pet, not a dog that's going to mark everything in your house. So is that why he's doing that? Yeah. When we have to educate, and if we can't get in to educate these adults, we got to get into the schools to educate the kids. If we're going to have, the Hispanic communities being part of, animals, we've got to educate because they don't understand. He's like, that's why he's doing that? Yeah, he's marking his territory. Get him neutered and that'll maybe stop for you. So that's a lot I just threw at you for the money, but really to consider that, helping us with $40,000 to $50,000 for this Big Fix, it would be a huge thing for Grant County to have that at the fairgrounds.
So Bonnie, I'm going to tell you right now so I don't forget. So 2026, we will start working on our budget, and I think the budget call goes out September, October. Send a letter to the commissioners to request that amount for 2026. And next week for our agenda, if we get it before noon on Thursday, you can request $7,000 from the commissioners for the
vaccination clinic.
Yeah, Yeah, the vaccination clinic.
And the
It's
use
at
of
the
the
fairground.
Okay, and the use of the fairgrounds, yeah, that's what I was
I
gonna
think
say,
we
'cause I
already
know he's
approved that,
starting to
though.
fill
I
up.
thought we, yeah.
But that's for somebody else.
That's
Oh,
for
is it?
somebody else.
That's
Okay.
for Dr.
Who is it?
Sorensen. It's Dr. Sorensen.
Oh, that's for a spay neuter thing. Yeah.
Really?
So
Do you
we
guys
plus,
reach out for any donations from some of the major
For what?
manufacturing plants and things like
We
that?
will on the greater good.
So I was
we
gonna
will
say,
for
I
them.
would think some of those plants would be willing.
We were gonna reach out to the cities too, just so you know. So the cities, I'm going to the cities to ask for, them to chip in on that because we have an animal, crisis going on. And it is a crisis. There's no other way to put it.
He said credit union is very
But part of the problem with
oriented.
and I will do that, and I will get
okay,
that.
I just want to be mindful that Kevin has to leave at 4:30. So I
Okay.
just want to make sure that.
Speak to that as well, because
Yeah.
GCAO has done some of that. And some of them straight up are like, that's not within the purview of what we offer in terms of service back to the community. Like they'll have like a specific, like, we'll provide funding for education, or we'll
Yeah,
provide funding
criteria.
for something like this. But with that said, we've had several companies within the Moses Lake area do things like a food drive and sometimes that can kind of be hit or miss because, it's like, how many leashes do you need, right? Like, or dog beds, things like that, when really we need food. And a lot of times that food that we're collecting is going out the door with someone who just adopted. But yes, there are opportunities there, but not at the level we might hope for. Yeah. That's your experience too?
And they're very hard.
Is that yours?
Yeah, I mean, locally, we have Microsoft, right? So a lot of
Yeah.
times they'll stop by and just be like, oh, we're doing a drive, or we're doing a day of volunteers, but it's not like a big commitment type deal. Where it's
Yeah,
like
we're not gonna
funding.
get a $10,000 check.
Right.
It's hard, but the more we can be out there doing events, the more focus we'll get from these corporations. I think the more that they can see how much work we're doing to, on the input, I think that will help. If we can go get a sponsor, even a sponsorship for the greater good from one of these companies, that's a big deal too. I do have some clients that own some hotels over in Moses Lake, and I'm gonna approach them about rooms for the event, and would they be willing to donate that? Because we can issue them letters, for the donations as a 501c3 and stuff. But yeah, it's hard to get. We just got several $1,000s from somebody down in southwestern Washington, wasn't it down there? And I was like, who's this? But they see the work that we're doing on our page, and it amplified clear down there. And I don't know if that had anything to do with us with the South Beach Humane Society. They saw that we're moving animals down there, because I highlight everybody that we're moving animals to, because we have moved over 75 dogs and puppies to Whigby Island alone so far this year. 75 out of here. She's my knight in shining. I just love her. And I'm moving another 4 pups from a place down in Royal City and a pup that we are fostering over there. Sometimes we have to give them the good ones. I could adopt this little puppy that we have out all day long, but sometimes I have to give them the really good ones along with these, poodle, husky ones that are going to be a larger breed. And we have a lady over in Seattle area in Bellevue. She will meet us at North Bend and take them to NOAA. The NOAA center's up in Stanwood, or I took some up to Anacortes the other day, that some 2 dogs from Moses Lake and 2 cats from Lori. And, so I drive our van for our rescue has over 200,000 miles on it. And my Wagoneer has over almost 100. But I also wanted to circle back around real quickly while you're still here is ordinances. Ordinances limiting the amount of animals that you can have in this county. The Sheriff's Department deputy animal control had no idea, even when the firehouse situation happened a couple years ago, there was a report of over 100 dogs there. It was 140 total. And he left with a report saying they were sheltered, they were being fed, there was no problem. And then shortly thereafter, the fire, which burned. But before that, Sunny Skies came over and picked up 35 dogs. And of those 35 dogs, they tried to get most of the females. They had to trap them. 15 of them were pregnant. So he would have even had even more. He was just this little old man, kind of, I think he's challenged in a lot of ways, but had no idea that they would they would be created like that. And the sheriff, the deputy, and I don't have a problem calling into him and telling him what law is, because I asked my husband to help me with some of that, but we let him know that 50 dogs is state law, unaltered. Now, what serious person in their right mind even decided 50 was okay?
Yeah, seriously.
How many actually like hoarding cases did you guys deal with last year?
Yeah.
Just one on top of the other,
One on top
Soap
of the other.
Lake, and just, yeah, how
And they
long did it
call
take
us.
you?
The cities call us, the animal control calls us, and they want help. Well, you know
Yeah.
what? Talk to the commissioners. They're the ones establishing these ordinances or these laws. So you have no laws on the books because they removed it saying they couldn't enforce it. So they can have up to 50 in a residential county area. On the base, they can have up to 50 dogs in their backyard. They can have it over behind the, where this firehouse was. It was in the county. They can have that many. So why? Why the state law, some dingbat, 50, where's that?
Get it out of there.
So we can have, and I don't want to try and go find and bring to you what other counties are doing. They're way less than that. I want to be leading on some of these things. I mean, we've got the city of Moses, like, they just led with a big deal on banning the sale and the giving of animals. That was a huge thing, and I went and spoke. Sarah was there. Lots of people spoke at that, and I just said, good for you guys, but also you have a store that's violating state law right here in your city, which was the Basin Feed store over there, by selling kitties. And I have approached him numerous times. Well, puppies, he's grandfathered in. There are 4 stores in Washington state that are grandfathered in on selling dogs and puppies from there because they were grandfathered in under the new law, HB 1424. But cats, no way, none. No store is allowed to sell cats. And if they do, they're violating state law. So you guys can make it tougher, but you can't ignore the state law. And so I got the commission or the city council to pay attention to that, and someone paid him a visit because I stopped in there and they said, "Oh, our lawyers say we're fine." Like, who's your attorney? I want to know. He can bypass state law. So they got that fixed over there. So I get rid of
Bonnie, Kevin does need to go, so
Okay.
I just it's 4:30. Kevin, do you have any questions before you?
No, it sounds like we got a lot of work to do.
We'll do that.
You have no idea.
Yes,
Thank you,
and there's-
Kevin.
We actually had it
One day
on
with
our
us.
list of things for the commissioners to do. Becca, or Barbara Durbeck, before she went on leave, she's kind of working with the sheriff, because if we can have a code, but until we kind of get buy-in from everybody, a code is not going to satisfy.
We had to send a letter to to the sheriff here recently, because animal control was just letting something slide that was so atrocious. It was neglect, it was abuse. Grant County Animal Outreach had the dogs, they were abused, or not, they were neglected more. And the animal control wanted to return the dogs to this home. Nobody was living in the home because it was burned.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And Okan dogs we had moved the dogs up to there according to one animal control person, but then the other animal control wanted to brought back down and give them back to this family who were responding to their request to get them all, groomed. And I'm like, are you babysitting this family? What? Anyway, we need some work with the sheriff.
And I think too, there's also some question about the standards related to animal cruelty and what we're willing to prosecute here.
That's a conversation with Kevin McCray.
Yes, sir.
We're short-staffed in our prosecuting attorney's office, so a lot of work to do.
Thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome. Sorry, I have to leave early, but I got a meeting.
That's okay.
Close late at 5 o'clock, so.
We would love to have another meeting with the full commissioners and the prosecutor.
Probably
The
should
sheriff
have
and the
here at
prosecutor.
same time.
And
We can probably set that up. We can do that.
I think that would be awesome.
Thank you, Kevin.
Then should I mention some more of these things to you? Then there's just a couple more things.
You can mention them, and then we can also work towards setting up a meeting.
Because I think some of these will have to just be deferred to, like the Mattawa being out of the limits of the sheriff's department animal.
Just I'm gonna ask Barb, since we have one commission, it's no longer a public meeting, do we keep recording? Do we just?
You can, yes.
Keep
But it's up to,
Okay.
you.
Technically, when
They
there's
can't,
one
you know,
commissioner, it's not. a
Make
public
any rules about it. So you got,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Take care.
Once a quorum, always a quorum.
Anyway, continue, Bonnie, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. So Mattawa will defer that to in the sheriff department because neglect and abuse is happening and we have no recourse because the animal control will not go down to Mattawa. Not the city, the county area down there. And there's a couple situations of small dogs. It's really bad. So I'll bring that up. I'll save that for the next one. And then this would be something, an ordinance to discuss again with the other commissioners, but dogs, owners' dogs, people that do own these dogs, and they're allowed to roam freely unaltered. We just have to be paying attention to, there's a dog over there on Grape Drive, just down from Home Depot, that is running around getting all those female, and he belongs, a beautiful golden retriever.
Oh, I know.
Do you know who that is?
Yes,
I
tried to
would
get
just
him the
love to
other day.
snatch that golden retriever up and take him somewhere else or neuter him and return him. But if you know the owners, why can't they? I mean, we had a dog that was dumped down in Royal City, or, it's towards Royal City, almost there. And she called me about it and I lost track of it because I would have tried to move it. And the neighbor down the street with this beautiful brindle Great Dane was down there and got hooked up with her. Got her pregnant, 12 puppies later. I ended up farming out the puppies to Noah and to Deb over at Whigby Island. But it's like, why should he be allowed to do that? Why can't the county have some laws about your dog's unaltered? Because she's not the only stray. And we have to find a way to prevent these dogs from having these puppies in the orchards, in the bushes. It's horrific. So that's one of the things for an ordinance on. I'm just going through the ordinances that the big one is the amount of pets. The county, especially, I don't know if you can designate or separate residential county areas. So the base, and I don't know what classifies a residential area, but because those are
Zoning.
Well, unincorporated, we have a few, Desert Air, Sunland Estates, Crescent Bar, Larson, we do have some.
Okay. And Desert Air complains to me all the time that they have no animal control, and the city of Mattawa won't touch it. And anyway, and then being almost retired, I have a goal for Grant County Animal Outreach to have something that will help fund them down the road. And we've talked about, Sarah and I have talked about a consignment and a thrift store. It works for the senior center. It works like over on Friday Harbor. They have a store there that supports them. Auburn has a store that supports their shelter. That, if we can find a building, I've been neglectful in moving forward on that, but finding a real estate agency, say if there's an owner of a building, or if the county has a building even, that we can get for that first year or 2 years, so we can establish a consignment / or thrift store that would support the shelter. I just think then if these other places, we've got to steal idea. I mean, coming up with new ideas is difficult when it comes to fundraising and getting donations, but stealing other people's ideas is okay.
And I just want to ask Cindy, it's because I love going back to just the ordinance thing real quick. What support would you need from us to make it?
I know we have the support from all of you. I think it's just getting the support that if we have put an ordinance in.
Like the public?
Well, the public, there's buy-in from the public, but really, our sheriff, and I can't blame the sheriff's office, but once you have one in, I mean, they have to be able to actually go and enforce it. And you want to make sure that everybody's on board. Or like when we built the new jail, it's like, yes, we can go out to the voters and ask, but until they're excited about it, nobody's going to vote for it or do anything to help it. But I do know we're to the level that everybody is just upset. I do get a lot of calls for animals that, what do I do? I can't drop them off at animal outreach. I can't.
Where do we take them? Yeah.
And what's the worst is it's giving you a bad name. It's giving you guys,
Yes.
people are
Oh,
angry
yes.
at these
I
shelters.
get
Well,
phone
and
calls,
they're
emails,
angry at
yes.
the commissioners, and it's like, we
Yes.
can't, you know.
Do anymore.
We do have a dog
We're doing,
problem.
everybody's
We
doing
do
everything
have
they can.
You know, like an abuse
Yes.
problem, we have a drug problem, we have a lot of other problems, so I think when the sheriff is looking at this going, you know, dogs are probably not the most important thing that we're dealing with right now, we have, but.
So one thing that was really interesting to me about the ordinance that the city of Moses Lake passed. So Victor Lombardi was very helpful in.
And they just recently passed this?
Yeah.
Earlier this year.
Yeah,
So I think
last
that's kind
year.
of what we were waiting.
Last year.
Oh, was it the end of
November.
last year?
But it just recently happened, because
But-
we were kind of waiting for Moses Lake to do something too.
Yeah, Victor did the research.
Okay.
He wrote the ordinance, you know, passed it through legal. And when it came up for vote, a lot of people showed up. And it was interesting because when I walked into the room, I thought, I did not imagine that all the people were there for that ordinance. And when they voted in support of that ordinance, the whole room got, I think there were like 3 people left in that room.
Right.
And it was all support.
Yeah.
And I followed up with Victor and some others after that vote and asked them, have you heard from anybody who was opposed to it? And they're like, no.
Oh, I think everybody's got it up to here.
Yeah, so that was to stop the sale of animals on, you know, primarily it was happening on Stratford Avenue, like Saturday and Sundays. They'd just be lined up selling puppies out of the back of their car.
And
So
the
that was.
breeders that are unregulated in this county.
There are a lot
Oh,
more than
back
you
I
think
don't
there.
know if you have to go to the state to get regulations in place.
Hmm?
But
Yeah,
most
serious.
people want to follow the law. So if you have an ordinance law that says you can only have 6 animals without an exception, you have to go get an exception for more than that. And I get there are some farmers that have enough property that they might need 7, you know,
Right.
guardian dogs. You know, I get that, but that's the exception.
Working dogs is
Yeah,
a
the
different.
working dogs, but that's the exception. So most people want to follow the law. So if we have an ordinance out there that we can work with, you know, most people do. I think, and I'm really directing some of that to the Hispanic community. Unfortunately, the Indian reservation's off limits, but the Hispanic community who, you know, they get 10 dogs and then they leave. They go to another, you know, orchard or another community and they leave half of those dogs. And most of them are pregnant, you know, and they're having puppies in the orchards. And I also take this to the farmers out there, that you have to know who you're hiring and what they're allowed to have, especially if they're living on your property. You know, are you one of those? You can't be crossing over.
I'm just, I laugh because they don't think anybody has, they don't think.
Oh, they don't suspect that.
Yes.
But to make a rule, I mean, to actually have a farmer say, you can live here, you can work here.
Well,
but
a
you're
lot of
only
the
allowed 3
orchards,
dogs.
they're making it right now, at least on the slope and in around Othello. They aren't allowing dogs, especially the organic ones, they're not allowing. But the trailer next door to that farm and to that housing.
Or they keep their dogs in the house.
Yeah,
And
and
it's an
so,
even bigger problem than if they were outside.
yeah.
We went down to a vineyard, it was 2 years ago, went down to the vineyard down in Mattawa. I mean, it was just a year ago because I took them to Okan Dogs. And a guy had been fired. They did call us. The guy had been fired and he left his 10 dogs and there were 6 puppies. And we got the 6 puppies moved to NOAA and Okan Dogs helped me place and I went down there. And, you know, they didn't want them there. You know, everybody had their own animals. But the treatment of them as they were trying to bring them to, they were dragging one 4 or 5-month-old pup by a rope around its neck. I just went loose on the guy and said, listen, you don't treat that dog like that. Can you not pick it up? I picked it up and put it into the crate. I said, and I turned around and said, don't ever let me see you do that again. You want somebody to drag you by the rope? You know, they don't even think about it. But, you know, I think when they realize that we see that and that's not acceptable, you know, and she came over and she goes, he said he's really sorry. And I said, that's fine, that's great. You know, but I was down there 3 times getting 10 dogs and the puppies as well. And I think if there were laws or rules, or even I told her, why don't you guys have a limit? They're going to be here living and working on this, it was a vineyard. have a limit. You know, it's crazy. And I even talked to the mayor, thank you. Anyway, we just we need help to come at this crisis, and we're all just
It's not just
exasperated.
dogs.
It's cats.
Yeah.
Well, and we can see where the chickens, because of the avian flu, has, dairies, feedlots, they have told their employees absolutely no chickens. So I know the farmers have the ability to,
Yes, they do.
control the animals on their
But you
property.
feel like you have support from the public that if some
I
of
feel
these
like we
ordinances were
are.
explored and instituted,
And Moses Lake just passed theirs so that we can continue kind of write off theirs because we were kind of waiting on
yeah,
Moses Lake. Because
Victor,
you
yeah.
can't, if the cities aren't gonna do it, it's really hard for the county because there's just, what's the line? You're just a little bit over. So we need to work with the city of Moses Lake and put something in place.
And and Victor he
Okay.
really did a lot of awesome research and
reach out to
work.
Victor and-
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things that the county and the cities are really going to have to do, I think you're going to have to budget for spay and neuter clinics or helping your constituents have access to low cost spay and neuters, because otherwise we are not going to get a handle on this anytime soon.
When the local
And-
vets are charging $400 to spay,
And it takes months.
yeah, and it takes months to get in there, and I can drive to Yakima or Benton City and have it done. Well, in Yakima, we can have some done for nothing because Positive Alliance, I think it's Positive Alliance has vouchers. Benton City charges us like.
Cats is $55 or $40 for an ear tip.
Yeah, if it's a community cat.
Well, Walla Walla is 25, I think, for an ear tip.
We had, we did a spay neuter clinic in Othello at the fairgrounds, which we kind of went around the commissioners, and because they wouldn't let us do a spay neuter because in the fairgrounds, because they're animals and they do quinceañeras and have food and stuff. So we did it when the Othello Fair Board had the county building for a month for the fair. So we did 189 dogs in 2 days. I would say 75% were from Grant County. The amount of people that begged, borrowed, and stealed a ride to get their animals down there was amazing because they don't have access to a vehicle. Some of these people have no way to get a large dog down here. It was pretty amazing because we charged $45 and some people, we did it for free. But that was, if we had something at Grant County at the fairgrounds, it's pretty accessible. People can go give rides. They can help these people, the unhoused, the low income, the seniors that can't make it. There's so many things we can do to make it accessible. That's one of the beauties of these MASH clinics.
And Kaya, even though she's in Adams County,
I live in Grant.
she gets calls.
I know. She.
They get calls
I
from
hear how
Napa.
wonderful you are and how not wonderful we are over here.
Well, and it's just, because we're in a group chat with her. We try and help where we can. She lets us know of an animal they can't take down there, and Sherry and I scramble. If we can't help it, we can't.
Yeah, it's just.
It's a hit and miss, but we try and connect. So but we are doing a much better job this year, and I can thank Rob for that because his question to me was just like a slam. Like, we should be working together, and the rescues, not just us, but the other rescue couldn't be here today. We should be trying to help you guys. We should be pulling animals when we can. And we've got Ocan dogs up in Kashmir pulling from these guys so that these dogs aren't just sitting there. And for a while there, it was moving pretty steadily to Spokane. But I know that Sindel just said that she couldn't, she called them directly herself and they said, no, they're only pulling from Ocan dogs. And I'm like, who cares? But
I will say this, like, so we hired Sindel, I forget exactly when we hired, but it's been over a year now. And Sindel did not have, she had business experience, but she didn't have animal shelter, like managing an animal shelter. And it was the rescues that really stepped in. And now she's doing a phenomenal job. You've been an amazing support to her and a mentor. And now she's really got that she's
She's got the
running.
feel for the land.
GCAO has done a 180 in, under her leadership, but it's because of the support of people who have experience. I don't know anything about running a shelter. I think I've said that before. I just love.
But you've been there.
dogs.
I showed up there one day and I
Oh,
couldn't-
yeah,
It was
I'm there.
it was 100 degrees.
Yeah.
And those guys are cleaning and I'm like, why is it so hot in here? Their air conditioning had just went out.
Yeah.
And so I ran down to Home Depot and bought them a new air conditioner and took it back and said, here, just give me a receipt for this.
Yeah.
And got you guys going. But she was in there cleaning and working and doing what. But Cindy is appreciative and so I want to reach out and help. So Jessica showed up the other day and filled up their van with food from the storage thing. And when we found out from somebody that somebody had given them couple of baggies full of food, I'm like, Sherry, call them and find out, do they need some food? And they did. So we hauled a bunch of food over there because we've got it was been in our garage.
It is a 180.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
But I think the people are seeing that there's a problem, that they need to step up, and somebody is not gonna just walk over and take care of, we don't have the resources it's just personal responsibility. So when you're an employee or somebody leaves, you're gonna have to help because the county cannot take care of every
Right.
animal. So I think they're seeing this, and I don't wanna say it's better, but I think we're at the point where, we're all ready to step forward and, do something. And I think some are, I think maybe more individuals, possibly not. But send us a letter, we can definitely help with that. And then request.
Can you, okay, do I need to wait for that to get, because I want to call them and say, can we get, because we're running out of time. We leave for Spain for 10 days here and next week, but.
Well, it's just our consent agenda. We have it every week, but our cutoff is at Thursday at noon.
Oh, this Thursday, okay.
Yeah,
So
but
we
it
can
can
get
be
a
the
letter.
following week. It can be anytime. It just, if you email.
We just want to get a date for that immunization clinic.
Okay.
Because he runs out of time, places there. But also, if we can get a meeting, and we'll get that when we get back from Spain, I'll call and get a meeting
Okay.
because.
And call Caitlin or Barb, and they can set it up and let her know who the prosecutor, the sheriff, and the 3 commissioners.
Because the laws on the books, are not even being, abandoning animals is against the law.
Mm-hmm.
And when you know the home, and you know that they moved away and they left their cats, because who was it that we just took the cats from?
Dogs,
DeTrolio. Frank
DeTrolio.
DeTrolio and
His
Frank and
wife-
Charlene.
It was
Yeah.
right next door to them. The people just moved away and left.
And left their cat, who had 5 kittens that weren't even a year old, and 4 of those were female, and they were all pregnant. And we've got, one of them, we weren't sure. And she's at, the brother and the sister that we weren't sure about ended up at Friday Harbor for adoption, and we still have the others who 2 have had their litters, and 1 we're waiting on, is about to have another litter.
That they were abandoned.
Yeah, just walked away from them, and that happens way too
This
much.
is last year's event for the state year, which shows you the people that were there.
have pizza together.
I'm super excited. We'll get a letter off. My husband will get a letter off.
Really?
Purchase, yeah.
You just got
unfortunately,
voluntold.
Were you taking notes?
No.
No.
You have notes, right? You know what the letter needs to be about.
You're just requesting.
$7,000 for the immunization clinic and the use of the
Fairgrounds.
the 4-H building. Is it the 4-H building, I think? The
Yeah,
big one?
4-H building. I don't know the 4-H or the commercial.
Okay,
It's the big one.
plus my fee for writing the letter.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it doesn't have
You
to
can
be
charge
really
it to the
complex. You can probably run
Just
upstairs
to let
and
the
write it
brain
on
settle.
We just have to have something so we can take action on.
Yeah, all right, I'll type something.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you. So it is 4:51. We are in recess until, I think our next meeting is a quorum. It will be next week. I don't see where we are altogether. So next week.
Yeah,
Thank you, Cindy.
thank you.